What is the worst thing you've ever had to go through because of a man? When you think about it, is it painful? Is it traumatic? Is it nauseating just to think about? Well, what if I told you that you could have the lesson from the pain and the mistake without ever having to experience the pain and make the mistake? Well, if you're questioning how that's even possible, just wait till you join me on today's show where we'll be discussing 10 harsh truths about men that women learn way too late. That way, you can learn how to know what the mistake is and how to solve it without ever having to experience the pain of going through it. When you see this on the board. For point number 1, we're going to discuss the following. Now, you might have in your mind, what type of following are we talking about? We're talking about in our new age that we're in of social media, I'm talking about the people he's following on his Instagram account, on his, if you want to say Snapchat, Facebook, the people he follows on social media. Now, why is this important? And why is this a harsh truth about men? How can who he's following be a harsh truth? I want you to understand what he is following on his social media is a representation of what he's constantly feeding his mind with. I wouldn't even say a representation. It is what he's feeding his mind with. So I drew out a visual here of a man brain and what it kind of looks like in a visual sense of how information is getting fed to the man brain and what he's consuming. So let's say you're scrolling through Instagram and a man is following a whole bunch of Instagram models who are posting half-naked bikini pictures, posting themselves in provocative poses, always saying provocative things, very inappropriate stuff, right? He's going to be feeding his mind with those Instagram models. He's also going to be feeding his mind with a whole lot of sex topics and subjects and ideas and suggestive themes. And he's also the overarching theme, he's going to be filling his brain with a lot of lust or lust-specific concepts and ideas, right? So why is that such a bad thing for you? And how does that become a harsh truth? If your man is consistently, or a man you're seeing or dating, right, is consistently feeding himself with all of these lustful ideas and thoughts on a regular basis, because the people that he's following are the people that he's going to constantly see on his page over and over and over again. As he's feeding his mind and his brain and his soul and his spirit with all of those ideas and all of those topics, that is going to make it more likely for him to fall victim to temptation, right? Temptation in the sense of doing something inappropriate in the relationship, constantly thinking, oh, wow, there are more beautiful women, so maybe my woman isn't good enough, right? Or even just having the temptation of DMing women in inappropriate things, right? Having sex on the brain is also a gateway to do more, whether it be watch adult videos, consume them, get on OF, and these things can become like a gateway drug, okay, right? The same way you can have a man who is following in the things that he's looking at constantly on his social media. He might be following things about money making, things about business. Let's say he's an engineer. Maybe he's following things about math and numbers or science, right? That might be his interest. Those are the things that he's constantly saturating his brain with all the time. All of those things, as spiritual as it might sound, is what's going to make him operate at a particular frequency. So a lot of the times, if you really want to know what a man is truly saturating his brain with, just go on his Instagram and look at who he's following and what type of accounts he's following. And you'll get a good idea of what that guy is constantly saturating his brain with. Now, I'll warn you, for some of you, this will be quite disappointing, right? And for some of you, you'll realize that, the man who I thought was really mature, the man who I thought was living with intention and direction, the man who I thought was a stand-up type of guy really isn't the type of guy that I would actually want to call my husband because of who he's following. Now, am I saying something as shallow as, hey, make sure you follow a guy who has a good following ratio, and if he's following more than 1,000 people, then that means he's a loser or that means he's a weirdo? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the following ratio or how many people he's following. I'm talking about going through the account and seeing, is there a theme of he's constantly seeming to follow certain types of accounts that are communicating or posting certain types of content, right? And I'm telling you, there's a niche for everything, okay? There's content for absolutely anything. So you'll start to notice themes if he's continuously following similar type of accounts, or even similar types of women or models, right? That look very similar, from the same background, post similar types of things, right? You'll start to notice those themes. And I want you paying attention to that, because that's what he's saturating his mind with. Now, this is where we're going to get to a topic in part of this point that a lot of you are going to hate, be terrified by, be disturbed by, and even be disgusted by, okay? So I'm going to paint this picture for you and let you in on a secret world that you did not know existed, okay? So I hope all of you are sitting down or laying down in a place where you're ready to take this in, okay? So when it comes to social media, okay, you probably ask yourself this question sometimes when you see these OF girls. You know what OF is. You should know. If you don't know, put it in the chat so everyone else knows. When you see these OF girls and you hear about how much money they're making hundreds of thousands a month, they're making millions, they can buy anything that they want. And you're thinking to yourself, which of these guys are paying for that? Because I feel like every guy I meet would never pay for that. But for some reason, these girls are stinking rich doing that, and someone's paying them, right? So here's the thing that I want you to learn, and some of you will be disgusted by this. Social media itself is actually, in its design, the way it operates today, is a gateway drug, okay? Let me explain to you exactly how this becomes a gateway drug. You might not know this, but I know this because I know a lot about a lot. OF girls, if you are thinking to yourself, how are these OF girls actually getting discovered, right? Because they have a page, but how do men actually find them to subscribe to their page and then start paying them? Let me tell you how this funnel works. They use TikTok and they use Instagram. That's all they need. These women are becoming millionaires just using those two apps to funnel men into their fan pages. We'll say it like that. This is where this becomes really, really important. As a man is saturating his brain, let's just say for the sake of example, with all of these models who have these OF accounts, right? These women are actually posting content provocative in particular clothing, dressed a particular way, talking a particular way, presenting themselves a particular way, to funnel those men who are saturating their mind with these things all the time, right? Especially these key ones, right? These men that are saturating their mind with these all the time, it's a gateway drug for them to eventually, right, be more palatable and suggestible to then eventually go onto their page. Click that link in the bio. You know why everyone always has a link in their bio? They click that link in their bio. And when you click on that link, the very first one that's up top will say spicy content, okay? And when you click that link to the spicy content, boom, you're in the funnel, okay? And that's how a lot of these women are attracting these men. So this is why I say social media itself becomes a gateway drug. And it's something that you need to understand the concept of and understand how it works, because you need to be basing your judgment of a man or whether or not you choose to entertain a man off of understanding what is he saturating his mind with on a consistent basis, because you can easily end up in a situation where you're making it harder for yourself because you're trying to build a relationship, a healthy one, a faithful one, a trustworthy one with a man who's constantly saturating his mind with all of these gateway drugs that make it a lot harder for him to focus and concentrate on just you, a lot harder for him to be faithful to just you, a lot harder to not fall victim to temptation when temptation is completely surrounding him every day of his life, right? Now, obviously, you know, some guys might have questionable For You pages, but the following is an act of participation, meaning I saw that person's account. Not only did I see and peep their content, but I specifically went to their page to follow them because I am communicating, whether subconsciously or consciously, that I want to see that content on a regular basis. I don't want to miss a post, and I don't want to leave it to chance that that could be posted or I could see it on my For You page, okay? Or on my algorithm. I specifically want this content in front of my face every single day, okay? That's the intention of the following. So as silly as it might sound in theory, when you break it down, right, and you realize what's actually going on, it'll make a lot more sense to you, especially when you meet these guys and you wonder, where do they receive this ideology from? Why do they think the way that they do? Why are they talking this way? Why is this their approach to relationships? It's a amalgamation, a compilation of everything that they saturate their mind with on a daily basis, okay? Are we all on the same page so far here? Right? You guys have any questions? I know this one we haven't talked about, so I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay. Justice Liberty says, are these guys rich? How to get them off TikTok or IG, or is it worth it? Here's the funny thing about this. Any man can fall victim to this funnel, right? Especially these top ones up here, right? Literally any man, rich, poor, medium-sized, middle-class, right? Any man can fall victim to this if they don't have control over their lust, right? Meaning being able to understand how this affects their mind, being able to understand what's happening on a subconscious level and actively fight against it by saying, I don't want to put that in front of myself every day to continue to tempt myself, right? There's a reason why some of these OF girls are rich, right? Some of their highest supporters are actually top earners, you know, in the financial world, right? Just in general, right? So they earn a lot, which is why they can spend a lot on some of these girls that they've never met before. But it's a very, very important concept to understand. So whether you do it by creeping his Instagram, whether you do it by asking him just the type of things like, you know, he follows on social media or who his favorite creators are, you'll get the answer one way or another. I think the best way, though, is to do a little bit of creeping on his Instagram and go through those accounts yourself before he gets a chance to explain it away or tell you this or tell you that, because it is what he's going to be saturating his mind with, right? So very, very, very important, okay? Okay. LP Baby says, I thought you said not to pay attention to their IG following. I'm confused, Thompson. So the IG following is something that can give you information. Now, when I'm saying not to pay attention to their IG following, I mean from the standpoint of if you're dating a guy and you're in the process of you dating him, like, you know that he has been following 623 people, and you keep that in your mind, and then you're constantly watching, did he follow a new girl today? Like, when you get to that point, you're too far gone in the relationship, because then you'll start to spiral down a rabbit hole of like watching every single thing that your man is doing to the point where you're not even going to be living your own life. That's what I mean by paying attention to his following. But in the sense of using it to gather information when you start dating a guy, understanding what he's saturating his mind with, that's extra information for you, okay? Let's hop into point number 2, okay? And we'll talk about this idea. Okay, so we're gonna draw, we'll do this like this. So we'll draw you here, okay? And we'll put a big smile on your face. We're going to draw a line here, and we're going to say this is the other guy. He's got a big clown smile on his face. We're going to draw a line here and a line there. Let's do this like this. We'll put this large noggin here. Actually, we'll put a frown on him. You'll see why he's frowning in a second. We'll put he's very, very unhappy. This is your man, let's just say for the sake of example. And we're gonna draw out something here that will not make sense at first, but I will explain what this is, okay? So we'll say this is the other girl, okay? So let's talk about this. So for point number 2, we're gonna discuss hurt men, okay? Now, this is something that can become very dangerous to you and a truth that you must learn about men. If you make the mistake of allowing a man to have his feelings hurt by you, because men have feelings, so they get hurt sometimes. But you say to yourself, well, if he doesn't want to talk about it, just forget it. You know, we don't have to talk about it. I'll just let it go. We'll just move on from it because I'm not going to force him to talk about it. Mistake. Let me explain to you a harsh truth that some women have to learn the hard way by going through this visual example. Let's say, for the sake of example, he sees you having a conversation. I want to give you guys eyeballs here so you have a soul. So let's say, for the sake of example, he sees you having a conversation with another guy at, let's just say, a random party, right? And you guys are at this party, you're having a conversation. You might think you're just having a friendly conversation, but maybe he sees it as a flirty conversation. And it gets him all discombobulated, and he's a little bit upset at the fact that you're having a flirty conversation with this guy. And let's say afterwards, you start to notice that his energy is a little bit off. He's a little bit short with you. He doesn't have the same approach that he does. He's not talking to you the same way, right? And you can feel something's wrong. So you try to like talk about it or ask him about it. And he's just like, oh, it's nothing. Who cares? Whatever. It's whatever, right? This is where the mistake comes in. For a lot of women, they say, you know what, if my man said it's whatever and he says he's not bothered by it, I'm just going to assume he's not bothered by it, even though I feel like he's bothered by it. The reason this becomes a mistake, what some guys will do is, despite the fact they are hurt, right? They're truthfully hurt. They will hold that in. Then they'll hold a grudge against you because since they were hurt by you and they didn't feel resolved from their hurt, because you guys didn't get to have a proper conversation about it. You didn't even get an opportunity to apologize for it because it never really got addressed. He holds that grudge. Then he goes and he meets another girl. This is where the other girl comes in. And he says, okay, perfect. Now, the grudge that I'm holding against you, right? This is you here. The grudge that I'm holding against you, because you flirted with that one guy, I'm going to take it out on you by not only flirting with this girl, but who knows, I'll get her number too. And maybe, you know, I'll kiss her innocently. And maybe, you know, I'll go over to her place and I'll sleep with her, knowing that you don't know any of this is going on. But it'll help me feel better about the fact that I've been hurt by you and I'm holding this grudge against you. Okay? Some of you might be thinking, wow, does that really happen? That's so crazy. It does. Because when guys are hurt or they feel betrayed by you and they don't get to feel resolved by it, a lot of times they just hold that, right? And for men, it becomes uberly dangerous because when they hold that, all of that resentment just hardens into stone. And then they stack it on top of each other. And then one day you just, you know, turn around and all of a sudden he's like, oh, I hate you for what you did back in 2004. And I hate when you said this back in 2002. And all of this stuff comes out of nowhere, right? So this is why it's so important. Never make the mistake of thinking just because your man is making it harder to address the situation where you know that his feelings have been hurt. Don't make the mistake of not actually addressing it. You always address it. I don't care if you have to come back the next day. I don't care if you have to come back in 2 days. I don't care if you have to keep bringing it up over and over again until he finally admits to you something is wrong. If that's your man or the guy you're taking seriously, always make sure he gets off his chest, honestly, the hurt that you might have made him feel, whether it was intentional for you or unintentional for you, because you don't want a hurt man going out and trying to hurt you in the process of doing something to hurt the relationship, right? Because a lot of times he'll go out and he'll hurt you just for his own ego, but you won't even know about it. So that's the craziest part, right? Like, you're hurt in the sense that if you knew this was happening, you'd be hurt. But it's not like you actually know because he's going behind your back and doing it simply out of this grudge that he's holding, right? And I know it sounds very silly and very childish, but I've seen it happen a lot of times, which is why I want you to avoid that by not allowing a man to walk around with his hurt and using that as an excuse to get revenge on you, okay? Right? Abby says, what if you ask, but he does not want to answer? So I'll answer that question by asking you a question. Every time someone asks you what's wrong, do you always tell them what's wrong right away? Probably not, okay? Most humans don't, okay? So let's just be real. You ask him one time and he says it's nothing, right? Maybe you can ask again in 5 minutes, right? And if not 5 minutes, maybe an hour, or let him feel a little bit more comfortable and then say, hey, you know, if you do want to talk about something, we can have a conversation about it. The reason I say that is not because I expect you to coddle your man. It's just because we're also human And let's be so honest and so for real. Not every time someone asks us what's wrong right in the moment, we're going to be able to divulge directly into exactly what's wrong and exactly what's bothering us, okay? That's just the reality of how we are as human beings. So if you feel that energy change from your man, you know the feeling. Address it. And if you can't address it in the moment, bring it back up later. Don't allow it to just fall by the wayside. I promise you it's not gonna work out well, okay? It'll be best for you to address it. Even if it feels small. If you feel that change in his energy, always address it. Always address it. Never let it go unaddressed. Let's hop into point number 3. Point number 3. We're on the same page, chat? Why am I thinking like that? We on the same page, chat? Okay. We on the same page? Someone said, yes, Justice says, yes, he held a grudge. I think, but I don't know. How can I fix it if I don't know what the problem is? Well, it's not about knowing exactly what the problem is. It's about knowing that you're feeling an energy shift within him and addressing that energy shift by getting him to admit to you what it might have been that has thrown him off or upset him, whether it be small or big, or just trying to get answers, so to speak, right? You don't have to come to him having already known exactly what it is that's bothering him. As long as you can address the fact that you feel that energy change, that's the way that you kind of start getting answers, okay? Let's hop into point number 3. This one's a great one. This is a great one because this actually really applies to some things that we've seen of recently, okay, in our world, in our niche of the world. So I'm going to draw this out. Now, my drawing might not properly symbolize exactly what I'm intending for it to symbolize, but rest assured, we shall discuss it, and hopefully it'll make sense after. Why is his arm so long? Whatever. I told you, it might not symbolize it properly. Okay? And we're going to draw on here. Okay. And we're going to call this here. It's going to sound kind of weird. We're going to call this a mature, how do you spell cloak? Like that. Yeah, cloak. There we go. A mature cloak. I know it looks weird. Don't worry, okay? Maybe I put 2 here. There we go. It's like an aura around him. Yeah. That's good enough, okay. All right, so for point number 3, we're gonna discuss therapy talk. This is actually a really interesting one. And we've seen it actually of recently with some of the events of some of, your favorite content creators and their messy breakups, okay? Therapy talk is essentially when a man uses the fact that he understands the language of someone who seems to be emotionally intelligent and talks kind of like a therapist in a way where it's like, okay, those are words that a therapist would say. So yeah, it kind of would make sense that you're emotionally intelligent if you can repeat the words that a therapist would say. But the reason I call it like a mature cloak is because in the process of him using therapy talk, right? Therapy speak, therapy language, right? Then you start to feel like, okay, well, maybe this guy actually is emotionally intelligent for me, enough for me, and this is the guy I should be choosing and looking for. But the reason it becomes a cloak is because when it comes to actually acting on these things, when it comes to actually making changes and making adjustments, when it comes to actually not making these mistakes even in the first place, or doing something so dumb and inappropriate in the first place, he's not able to be that emotionally mature, right? This is why it becomes a cloak or a disguise, so to speak, because the therapy talk and the verbiage is meant to trick you into thinking that person actually is all there, is actually very mature, is actually very emotionally mature. But in their actions, they don't act that same way. So I want you to be on the lookout for guys who, because this is kind of the new age and era of things. Guys can hear how people are talking nowadays when they want to sound mature, when they want to sound like they know what they're talking about. So sometimes guys will come on their dates and they'll be able to parrot back to you a lot of this verbiage that'll make you think, oh my God, this guy's so evolved. He knows what he's talking about. He's got direction. He knows how to solve problems. He's emotionally mature. And then when it comes down to actually being in a relationship with him, it doesn't work out that same way. And he's making mistakes that are even worse than the average guy, or even more dumb, or even more emotionally immature than the average guy. The best example, honestly, that I can give you in this is the example of the Wizard Liz, which this is planting a seed for later that we'll discuss, and the whole idea of how her fiance at the time was approaching the relationship, or approaching his apology, I should say, of getting caught cheating. And he was talking a lot of things that sound like someone who's been to therapy. And you'd be like, if you were to just hear these things without the context of the situation or his past or the things that he's done before, you might think to yourself, oh, well, this is a guy that's really emotionally mature. This is a guy that knows what he's talking about. This is a guy that, you know, is actually truthfully sorry, because these are the type of things you hear on podcasts or from therapists, right? And then when he says that, you think that he's capable of making a change, but then he just makes a worse mistake than even anyone else, right? So be aware of that when you meet guys that are going to disguise their maturity through the cloak, through the disguise of just talking a big game, right? And knowing how to say the words, or even just using them in a word salad without actually taking action upon them, or without actually acting like an emotionally mature person, right? There's a difference between talking like one and acting like one. Are we all on the same page, right? Let's hop into point number 4. Point number 4 today. Someone said help. Help you with what? What do you need help with? Someone said help, Tommy. Ron, what do you need help with? What is it that you need help with? Okay. Someone said it's Landon vibes. That's his name, Landon. I forgot his name. We have a lot to discuss, chat, so that won't be the last time you hear the Wizard Liz's name. Very interesting show we got here. Let's hop into point number 4. Okay. This one, I think majority of you have experienced at one point or another before. Okay. So we're going to draw this out like this. And you'll see why I'm drawing this like this. Okay. We'll do this is you. Beautiful hair there. The nest. And we're going to do this. And you'll see why I'm drawing this like this. I gotta give him a soul. Give him some eyes. Got one eye in that. Okay, so let's discuss this. So for point number 4, we're gonna discuss guilt. Guilt is very interesting and a truth that you must learn about men. See, the old way of tricking women, right, is by being a player, right? Lying to them, trying to be smooth with it, you know, making them think they're the only girl and you have multiple girls. Yeah. See, that doesn't work as well today because women are a little bit more well-versed in the ways of players. Now, one of the ones that does work is going in the other extreme for the new age of players, right? When I say going in the other extreme, not presenting yourself as someone who's trying to get over on you or outwardly manipulate you or trying to be a player, but using the tactic of making himself look as if he is so vulnerable, so easy to hurt, so easily, stepped on as a man, that instead of you having to worry about being played by him, right? He tells you, in fact, I get played by everyone else. This is where the trick of guilt comes in. Some guys that you meet, they will begin presenting to you a narrative. Narratives are really important, okay? Narratives are so important in relationships. They will present to you a narrative. I have nobody, okay? I am lonely. I have no friends. I have no one to turn to. My family has disowned me. I can't talk to a single person. Everyone hates me. My coworkers don't love me. Everyone uses me and abuses me, okay? When they do that though, your walls come down. This is why I'm putting this kind of like equation here, right? He is really sad and upset because he has nobody. So you in turn feel really sad and upset for him because he has nobody. Then, because of your sad and upsetness, oh my God, he's so vulnerable, it's such a small little mouse, everyone steps on him. You then take actions to try and get him to be happy, feel good about himself, feel like the man, be able to feel like he does have someone in his life, someone that loves him, someone that will take care of him, right? Contrary to all the things he's been experiencing. Let me tell you why this ends up being a mistake. Because a lot of times men will use the fact that if they present themselves as super vulnerable, oh my God, I have no one, and then you feel sorry for them, right? You'll end up doing things and acting in ways that you wouldn't regularly act and enduring things with him that you wouldn't regularly endure simply because you feel sorry for him. And this is the weirdest part about that. And it's crazy because the women that have been through it know exactly the feeling I'm talking about. You're in the relationship, but your reason for being in the relationship isn't because I want the guy. Your reason for being in the relationship ends up being, I want to prove to the guy that he can be loved by someone. Yeah? I want to prove to that guy that he's capable of being loved. I want to show him what love is like. Why? Because I feel sorry for the fact that he has no one. You want to know why that's wrong? Because you're not with that person because you even want to be with that person. You're with that person because you're trying to prove to them an arbitrary point about their own life because of how you feel bad for them. This is why I'm calling this point guilt. Because guilt is really being used to manipulate you into doing things that you wouldn't regularly do. And slowly but surely, you start giving things that you wouldn't regularly give. You start doing things for him that you wouldn't regularly do for a man, right? And you find yourself in a place down the line where this guy ends up treating you like trash, right? Ends up not doing anything that he's supposed to do or holding his weight in the relationship as a man, right? And even though he's not holding his weight in the relationship as a man in any capacity, emotionally, financially, physically, whatever the case may be, right? You would regularly break up with a guy like that, but because you feel so bad about the situation and you feel so bad for him, you don't end up breaking up with him. So you stay in a state where you're miserable, hoping that you're going to eventually just show him how things are different for you and you're not like those other people. But you end up suffering trying to show him you're not like those other people because you're the one that ends up being miserable in the relationship. While he gets all the action that you take trying to prove to him these things, and he sucks you of your energy, sucks you dry, okay, not in a good way. Right? Are we on the same page about that? Do you guys have any questions about that so far? Okay. Someone says people who use weaponized incompetence don't have a good foundation. Weaponized incompetence is another form of that, right? It's actually this packaged in a little bit of a different way, right? They make you feel sorry for the fact that they're incapable of doing those things, that you're so much smarter, so much better than them. So then when you step in and then you take control by doing those things, then he's like, oh my gosh, you're so smart, you're so amazing. But then you kind of get tricked because in the process of him weaponizing his incompetence, the fact that he's incapable of doing it, you end up doing both jobs now, right? And then that just happens enough times where you're now doing everything and he's doing nothing, okay? Does that make sense? Cyan says, a man with the victim mentality will never create a safe space for you to really lean into your femininity. You will eventually become mommy 100%. And you don't want to be mommy, okay? You don't want to be mommy. Not today. Not with the guy that you're supposed to be in a relationship with. For sure, no. Let's hop into point number 5. Okay. Let's do this here. Point number 5. Is there a stain on my shirt? Okay. So for point number 5 here, we're going to discuss this topic. This also is something that we have not yet discussed on the show. I'm surprised most of these we did not get a chance to discuss yet in all of our time. Okay? And it's not what you're thinking when you see this. Okay? It is not what you're thinking. So I'm going to describe this here. And you'll some of you when you see this, you'll be like, "Oh, that works on me. That does work on me. It's worked on me in the past." Okay? So let's do this here. Oops. We'll even put, just so you're not confused, day 6 and day 7. Okay? So, all right. And I really want you to visualize how this works. Oops. I almost put massage. We ain't doing no Diddy stuff here. I almost put massage instead of message. No baby all around here. Okay. So I know this is repetitive, but you'll see why this is really, really important. So for point number 5, we're going to discuss consistency. Now, I'm not talking about the good kind of consistency, the consistency that we talk about on the show. I'm talking about this type of consistency that you might not be paying attention to when you're dealing with a guy. See, I said before, there is a difference between low quality and high quality attention, right? Some guys will give you lustful attention, which we can consider low quality, and some guys will give you I want to build with you attention, which is high quality attention, okay? Now, let's kind of discuss this idea of low quality and high quality consistency. Because what can happen to you when you're dealing with a man is sometimes his consistency, even in a low quality form, can begin to break you down. And you end up giving a chance to a guy who is just low quality consistent with you because in your mind, you're thinking, okay, well, I don't know the difference between low quality consistency and high quality consistency. Let me give you an example of that. An example of low quality consistency would be saying to yourself, okay, there's a guy that really doesn't have the character traits that I want in a guy. There's a guy that really doesn't show me any of the things that I would want to be in a relationship with. He's not manly enough for me. He's not masculine enough for me. He's not really attractive to me, but he does send me a good morning and a good night message day after day after day after day after day, okay? So why is this important? You might not realize it because it's subconscious to you, but sometimes men can break you down with low quality consistency into making you feel like, okay, I should give that guy a chance, or maybe I should be with that guy simply because he's always trying to be consistent. Now, I do want you to give guys a chance who are consistent, but I want it to be the right type of consistency, okay? I don't want you to make the mistake of trying to give a chance to a guy simply because he's capable of messaging you good morning and good night every day, okay? Or he hits you up consistently and replies to your stories all the time, right? That's not a way to give a guy a reward for his consistency. The type of consistency I want you to be paying attention to is guys who would do things like ask you out on dates, okay? Right? And be like, let's go out, let's do something, right? Or I want to see you, or I want to like plan or schedule a time to actually go out with you, or maybe even let's talk on the phone. Can we organize a time for us to like have a proper conversation, right? These are the type of things that if a guy's consistent on, that I want you to think about and I want you to consider and I want you to be paying attention to, not the low quality versions of consistency like text messages, okay? Because I know that in your soul, sometimes the text messages, they can, I don't want to say beat you down, but they can start to like soften you up, okay? Soften you up into feeling like, you know what, maybe this guy isn't so bad. Despite the fact he doesn't have any of the qualities that I want, despite the fact he's not really the type of man that I want, despite the fact I don't even know if we're aligned or any of those other things or where they're supposed to be, he does message me every day, so maybe I'll give this guy a chance. Maybe I'll go on a date with this guy, right? Like that type of consistency in a low effort way isn't a reason to give a guy a chance if you don't feel like the other portions of you and this guy are in alignment, or he's not the type of guy that you're looking for, right? I don't want you to fall victim to that, because some men do know how that can play a role on your psyche and play a role on your mind, and how that can kind of soften you up over the course of time, okay? Does that make sense to all of you, right? Nicole says low quality consistency and persistence can definitely break a woman down. Sometimes we look at it as him not knowing any better, 100%, right? And remember, like I said, it's not about saying, oh, consistency is bad. Consistency is not bad. Consistency is good. But I do want you to be paying attention to the type of consistency you receive from a man. Sometimes guys can be consistent with you in a way that is very low quality, requires very little effort, and doesn't necessarily mean that he's ready to take the steps that you need to be the type of guy that you need. Okay? Are we paying attention to that? Are we on the same page, right? Like the bare minimum. Yeah, like the bare minimum, but in a consistency sense. Okay, let's hop into point number 6. Okay? Oh, love this point. This point's gonna be great. Everyone, pay attention to this next point, okay? I should have put this near the top. I'm excited to discuss this, okay? Everyone pay attention, okay? We didn't get a chance. We've only talked about this in passing, so we're gonna have a whole point about this one today, okay? Love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, love it. I love it. Let's hop into this point number 6 here. I love it. So we'll do this right here. That's the dopamine going up there, right? And then we'll do another one here. That's that dopamine. Okay. Dopamine up. All right. So for this first one here, we're going to go, let's see. We'll put here finding the right woman. And for this one, we'll put new woman every week. Okay, there we go. Let's discuss this. So glad that we can discuss this, okay? Serial swipers for point number 6. This is something that is a virus, okay? And I want you to see from a man's perspective so you can understand what is going on here, okay? There are 2 types of men on dating apps. One type is a lot more often that you'll see it than the other, okay? There's the type of man who's on a dating app and he's looking for a woman who is the right type of woman, a quality woman. He's on the dating app for the purpose of finding the best possible partner, right? Someone that he's compatible with, someone that he can work with, someone that shares the same intentions as him and is in alignment with him. That one, unfortunately, is the one that you'll see a lot less often. Not even just on dating apps, but in life in general, okay? Then there's another type of man. This type of man I call a serial swiper. You've heard about dopamine addiction before. I'm sure most of you had when we talk about today's day and age, being addicted to social media, right? And getting that feeling of dopamine, that hit of euphoria, that good feeling from being able to swipe constantly in a state where you're just kind of like a zombie. A lot of us think that dopamine addiction or that type of addiction to the hit of just swiping all the time is only on social media from the standpoint of Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Reels, and things like that. It's not. What also happens in our day and age, some men are addicted to the act of swiping, okay? When I say addicted to the act of swiping, these men, which are more common, to be honest with you, are not looking for a good quality partner. That's not what they're getting dopamine from, because this is long term. Okay, let me even put this in parentheses here, right? This is very long term. You're gonna have to go through many, many months and even years to eventually come to the dopamine hit you'll receive from finding the right woman. That's very long term. This, short term. This dopamine hit, you can get every week, if not every day. Why? Because these men are addicted to being able to find a new shiny woman literally every day. And this is the crazy part. They will even go on dates with these new shiny women because they want to go on dates with these new shiny women. Now, they also want to smash on these dates with these new shiny women, or they want to smash very quickly and efficiently, right? But the whole idea is, I want a new woman all the time, right? And never before has it been really possible for a guy to experience a new woman damn near every week, if not every couple of days, more than now that we have dating apps. Because it makes it so easy to access all types of women without having to go out every night to the bar or to the club or to be on the strip, right, looking for girls, right? When you can just swipe on them, you can chat with them for a little bit and date them. Now, am I saying dating apps in themselves are evil? No, but I do want you to understand the type of men you're going to likely encounter on dating apps, which is why they're kind of essentially ineffective. And this is the part that I want you guys to take notice of. Some guys that you're going to meet, a lot of guys that you're going to meet, especially the ones on dating apps, are really serial swipers. And they're addicted to being able to get a new shiny woman all the time. Which is why I always advise against the dating apps, because the essence of the men that are there, they love, but like, it's going to sound very weird. They're sitting on a date with you. I'm going to describe it in their mind, right? I'm going to go in their head for you. They're sitting on the date with you. They're looking at you, right? And you think they're there with you. But in their mind, they're imagining and thinking about also simultaneously the other 20 women that they're having conversations with simultaneously. And they're thinking about, yeah, I'm having a conversation with that girl, so I'll probably see her tomorrow. I'll see what she's on. Maybe she'll want to come over. And the girl that I was talking to last week, maybe I'll hit her up and I'll see what she's on this week. Oh yeah, and I can't forget about that blonde girl that I smashed the other week. I wonder what she's on today, right? And so they're with you, but they're not really with you. Why? Because they have a plethora, like a Rolodex of all these other women they're constantly juggling a conversation with, right? And the craziest part about it is that's the point. They want to juggle a conversation with all these new women and have a new hit of dopamine every day, right? And even still, even when they have other women they're talking to, they still need a new woman, okay? There has to be a new one. There has to be a shiny new one that they just started talking to, that they're just about to go on a date with, right? And so someone said, how do you spot them? You're not going to like it. The best way to avoid them is to avoid trying to meet men on dating apps. I'll just be honest with you. And I know that sucks because you're like, oh, but I like dating apps, but that's the way that I like to meet the men. But I'll just be real with you. I have guy friends who use dating apps. They're all abusing them, okay? All of them. And I'm telling you this is like okay, I'll just, for a second, you know, we're close, we're friends. I'll have an honest conversation with you for a second, okay? My friends, my most attractive friends, all the ones that are the most attractive guys, they all abuse the dating apps, all of them, okay? I'm just being super honest with you. They abuse it because it's the most effective for them, the most effective. They talk, I'm seeing their stuff, okay? I'm just being super real with you. I'm seeing their stuff. They're chatting with like 25 women at once, because most of the men on dating apps, they don't know how to take pictures. They don't know how to put on bios. They're not very attractive. They don't have aura. So the few of my guy friends who do have aura, who are attractive guys, good looking guys, oh boy, they eating on the dating apps. So they use all the dating apps, but they also abuse all the dating apps from the standpoint of like when they're swiping on girls, right? It's never enough. It's never enough. They always want to chat with more girls. They always want to meet more girls. They'll be on a date. As soon as they finish their date, they're chatting with the other 10 girls. They're chatting with the other 20 girls, right? And as sucky as this sounds, the more attractive and better looking guys with more aura are even more killers on those dating apps because they reel in all the girls, okay? I'm telling you the honest truth. I've seen it, okay? My most attractive friends, they all eat on the dating. They eat like crazy on the dating apps. Okay. So the reason I say this is the best way to avoid them is honestly to just not be on them, because you're less likely to encounter someone who's addicted to serial swiping if you're not on the app where there would be serial swiping. Okay. You'll have a better chance. Now, obviously, there's guys you can meet in person that could be serial swipers, but the likelihood that the person you meet in person is going to be a serial swiper is a lot lower than the likelihood if you meet someone on the dating app. Do you get what I'm saying? Because if we think about this logically, the chances that you will be someone's first swipe, first match, first conversation is basically slim to none. Are you following my point, right? And my logic of probability there, right? So just be aware of that, okay? Nunez says Bumble CEO is a woman. Yeah, she is. Okay. Does that make sense to you guys? Nicole says, a meeting guy is in better as way person. If you meet through a friend, then hopefully it'll tell you about a guy's character. Yes, and I know guys that I'm always kind of like villainizing the dating apps, but it's not because I just hate dating apps in general. It's because I understand what you're trying to accomplish, what your desired outcome is, and I also understand like what the guys are doing and the intention that they're living with. Like, if I had a bunch of guy friends that were like, honestly, I'm on Hinge and I'm just looking for a good girl. I'm looking for a girl who I can, a wife, and I can take care of, and I can build a family. None of my guy friends are saying that, okay? And I have lots of guy friends with a bunch of different perspectives from a bunch of different backgrounds. I don't just have all the same friends. None of them are saying that, right? They're using the dating apps with the understanding I can abuse it, okay? I can definitely get what I want out of the dating apps if I'm good at it. Just being super real with you, okay? I just have to be super real with you. So I would love for you to not be in on that game. Okay, let's hop into point number 7. Point number 7 here. All on the same page? All on the same page? Okay. Class says, Tommy, there are also women that use it for free meals and pineapple hookups. Women are also addicted to pineapples. 100% class, you're 100% right. There's definitely women that abuse the dating apps too for the attention that they can receive, the messages, and even for sex as well. That is very much true. So like I say, you're more likely to encounter the addicts on the place where all the paraphernalia is, if that makes any sense, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So just keep that in mind. Let's hop into this is point number 7. So we just did serial swipers. Now we're going to do this one. Yeah, this is the next one. Okay. So this is how we'll do this. Big noggin. Big noggin. And we'll say that he's yapping. And we'll do this here. Let's see. Okay, we'll do this. We'll have desires here. We'll have intention here. We'll have wife, value. Oops. We have life, outlook. Okay. We can say love. Oops. I'll say it like this. Definition of love, and etc. Okay? Let's talk about this point here, okay? So for point number 7, we're going to discuss the silent man. Very dangerous, the silent man. Here's why the silent man can become so dangerous to you. Because when you're dealing with men who will not be open and honest and talk about what's important to them, their perspective, their values, their morals, you won't learn the most important things to learn about a guy, right? And I included a few of them, but there's a lot more, right? His desires, true desires, his intention with you, with his own life, with what he wants for the future, the fact of whether or not he thinks marriage is valuable, whether he thinks having a wife is valuable, because I know it sucks, but you might realize it when you have a conversation with the guy for long enough, he doesn't even see marriage as being valuable. He doesn't even see having a wife as being valuable. He might have an outlook on life that, hey, by the way, in this day and age, getting married is just a waste of time, waste of money. You're better off just, living your life with the person. And if you break up, you break up. That could be his outlook, right? Understanding his life outlook, understanding his definition of love, understanding his definition of cheating. Like I said, I didn't put them all here, but these are the types of things, just a few examples of the things you miss out on with the silent man. Why am I bringing this up? Because I know sometimes you all can get obsessed with being with the shy boy, because shy boys are innocent. They're a lot less intimidating. And here's the other subconscious thing you might be thinking. If he's shy, he probably has a lot less girls, right? He probably has a lot less access to girls. He probably gets a lot less girls. So I wouldn't have to worry about him cheating as much if he's a shy boy than I would if he was outgoing, had a lot of friends, really attractive, and then all the girls were flocking to him, right? That's kind of the thought process on a subconscious level. But the problem with the silent man is it's so hard to learn anything about him. And the horror story of being with the silent man is that you end up in a situation where you think he wants the same thing as you. You think you guys are on the same page until one day, and sometimes it's months, and sometimes it's years, sometimes it's decades. You all of a sudden, randomly, one day, wake up, and the guy who you thought this entire time was on the exact same page as you, agreeing with everything you said, everything you guys talked about, everything you guys said you wanted for your future. And he just woke up one day and said, yeah, by the way, it's not working out for me and we got to break up and I'm gone. Right? You think that sounds like it's impossible? I promise you, we can go on TikTok right now and I can show you a bunch of stories where women have literally been blindsided by men who they were in relationships with for years sometimes. And they might go on a trip, they might go somewhere random, they might like just something, anything. And then they just receive like a note, just like a note from the guy saying, yeah, by the way, I want to break up. It's not working out for me. And they're like, what? What? And this is part of the reason that this happens. When you're with the silent man, it's a lot easier to impress upon that silent man your own opinions, your own perspective, your own values, your own desires, right? And when they're silent but agreeable, it makes you feel like, oh yeah, me and him, we're on the same page about everything. Yeah, me and him, we know exactly what we want. When in reality, it's what you want. It's what your desires are. It's what your intention is, right? That's why I always say, come on that date with your questions, okay? Not coming on that date ready to yap. Come on that date ready to get him to yap, all right? And if you notice you're with a man who's a silent man, extra silent, just looking to agree with anything you're saying, stay far away from him, okay? Push him away. Don't talk to him. Don't associate yourself with him. Get him far away from you, because you won't be able to have a successful relationship with the silent man who is not expressive of his feelings and emotions, okay? You only want to be in relationships with guys who will yap to you about how they really feel, okay? And what they really want. Because at least if you guys are misaligned, you can know that, okay? And if you guys are aligned, you will also know that. Not because that's what you want, but that's what he wants. That way, you know, when you guys start interacting and you're on your dates and you're building the relationship, he's doing what he wanted to do. Not what you forced him to do, what you twisted his arm to do, what you made him do, the position you put him in. No, you didn't trap him, nothing. He chose to be with you because that's what he wanted. Now, when it's time to hold him accountable, you hold him accountable to the fact that he said he wanted to be with you. You see how that works? Okay, right? Class says no more avoidant type of personalities. Okay. Cien, is it Cien or Cyan? Says, yes, I let that man chat on the first dates. They always expose themselves. And the hardest thing about when you're on that first date or even any of the dates is, you know, because you want to express yourself. As a woman, you're going to be naturally expressive. And it's not that I don't want you to be expressive. I just don't want you to make the mistake. See, being an extra expressive woman and then being with an extra silent man is a deadly combo, because the extra silent man will hold in his desires and intentions. And even sometimes he might have the belief that, yeah, I want this, I want the same thing as her. Yeah, I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm going along with it. That is what I want. But the problem is, that's why so many of these guys have these midlife crises, because they almost spend the beginning half of their life in zombie mode, where they're just agreeing with things, not just with you in the relationship. They're just agreeing with everything in life. They're agreeing with exactly what everyone else is telling them they should be doing with their life. And they just agree and agree and agree, and they don't speak up for themselves and what they want. And they're not honest with themselves until they wake up at 50 years old and they're like, oh my God, my entire life has been a waste because I haven't done anything that I really wanted to do. Then they start trying to backtrack and relive their 20s and do all the things that they really had a subconscious desire to do back then, but they didn't have the cojones to actually speak up for themselves and do those things. That's the root of the midlife crisis, right? I want to live my life on my terms. I want to do what I want to do with my own intentions and my own desires, not my parents' desires, not my sister's intentions, not my girlfriend's desires or intentions, what I want to do. That's why they go back, they get a sports car now, right? Because that's what they wanted to do when they were young, but they suppressed it. They didn't address it. Now they go back and they start dating a 20-year-old blonde girl because that's what they really wanted to do, but they suppressed it. They didn't address it, right? But that's the problem with the silent man. Okay, that's the problem. We don't want that for you, okay? Someone said, is that why you guys were saying Jesus earlier? You thought the face that I was drawing looked like Jesus? That's funny. That's funny. Someone said the shy, nice guy is a chronic illness. Someone says, how are y'all focusing? He's too fine and speaks so well. LOL, okay, I'm focused now. This is a classroom, okay? We gotta be professionals here, okay? We're here to learn. We're here to learn about men. We here to learn about men, chat. Don't you want to learn about men, chat? You guys are going to be I'm telling you. By the time we've been doing this for like 2 years, those of you who have been like, subscribe to me for 2 years, you're going to be such an expert in men. People will see, this will be crazy. You'll meet guys and they'll be like, you a psychologist? You a therapist? How do you know so much about relationships? And you just keep a secret. You don't tell them that you watch me. Don't say that. Just say, oh, it's just, I just learn things, I'm just, some things you just learn with experience in life, it's just some things that I take, and just make them feel like you're magic. You're a magical fairy. All right, let's hop into point number, what was that? That was 7, right? So this is point number 8. All right, let's do 8 now. Okay. I love this. We have not gotten a chance to talk about this. Oh, I'm so glad we can talk about this. Okay. So you're not going to like this because this is actually kind of, it's about you. So you're not going to like this. But it's good that we get to talk about this because some of you fall into this trap. A lot of you, actually. Okay. So we'll do this. We'll draw you here. No BBL for you today. Okay. And we're going to do this. We'll do that there. There, okay, all different directions. So put direction, and then we'll do like this. Don't worry, I know it's gonna look weird at first. We're gonna discuss it, and it'll make sense once I discuss it. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's talk about this. So for point number 8, we're going to discuss not being ready. This is a harsh truth about men that you need to learn because it actually kind of has to do with you, but also the way men interact with you. Let me explain. So when you're in a place mentally, let's say you just finished up a relationship, okay? And you've just got out of this 2-year relationship that was really toxic. You went through a lot. There was a lot of back and forth. And finally, you're out of it for good. Like you're actually not going back to that guy. Now, in the process of you finally stepping out of this relationship and into the single world, mentally, you're not actually ready to be in a new relationship because of all the trauma you've experienced in the last one, all the thoughts and, things that you went through. You're not mentally there. You have to really heal first, right? Like the kids say, you got to heal. Now, in the process of you healing, right? and you recognizing that you're really not ready for a new relationship, you're kind of directionless. Not in a bad way, but in a human way. Directionless in the sense that like you don't yet have your feelings organized yet. You're still kind of in love with your ex, and there's still a lot of just situations that you've been through that remind you of him. You don't even have everything of his cleared out of your house. You're just like, you're not fully there mentally to be able to move forward in a new relationship. That's not a crime, okay? You're a human being. This is where it becomes dangerous, okay? You're not sure about moving forward, but you're hot. You're sexy. You're so attractive. When you walk by in your tightest pair of jeans, the guys love you. When you walk by in that beautiful tight dress, the guys, they're obsessed with you. So they're always approaching you 24 hours a day. You can't leave your house and a guy doesn't approach you, okay? Here's the problem though. You're not ready for a new relationship. You don't really have direction of what you want, what you need, what's important to you. Your mind is still fuzzled from the last one. The guys are attracted to you though. As they're attracted to you and they approach you, they're like, hey, ma, what's up with you? I want to get to know you. I want to take you out. Some guys might actually even mean like, I want to wife you, like I want to be with you. Here's where the problem starts, and this is where the tragedy begins. You're not ready for a relationship, but there's a guy that you kind of vibe with. And so you say to yourself, and even sometimes you say to him, you know what, I'm still kind of figuring things out. So I can't really do a relationship right now, but I vibe with you and I like vibing with you, so we could vibe. Like the kids say, we could vibe. I like your vibe, so we could vibe. But I'm not there. I'm not over my ex and right. So you think you're being honest. You think you're being upfront, and you think, oh, well, I guess it's the best way to go about it because I'm not really sure about my direction here. Here's why it ends up being a massive, massive, massive mistake. It's like the worst mistake you make in your life. After you meet this guy and you start trying to cultivate a vibe, okay, out of the fact that you don't really have any direction here, you don't really know what you want, you're still fuzzled up from the last relationship, you then end up allowing things to happen in a capacity that you would never allow them to happen if you were saying, I'm going into the dating market prepared to find my husband and date with intention. Why do you allow things to slide? Because you don't really have an intention yet. You don't really have a direction yet because you're still hung up on your last relationship and everything that transpired there. The problem is you still went ahead and allowed yourself to explore a new relationship without properly being ready for an old one. And not being able to set the boundary of saying, I'm just not going to talk to any new men is such a mistake because here's what will happen. And I've seen it happen with a lot of women, okay? Probably like over 100 of the ones that I've just helped personally. You then talk to the guy. You sleep with him because it's whatever, right? You don't have any direction. You don't know what you want. You just want to vibe. You sleep with him. You chit chat with him. Yeah, hang out. We don't have to go on expensive dates. Yeah, we could just hang out in the house. Yeah, just a good little vibe, just watch Netflix. I'm just kind of chilling. I want to get over my ex, like vibe, under the blankets. Yo, let's cuddle. Like, it's not too serious. Don't be too serious. Let's go out to the club together. Let's kiss a little bit. Let's get drunk together. Let's smoke a little bit. Let's vibe together. Yo, you penetrate me. Yo, I'm on top of you. Yo, we living a good life, right? Then you get to a point where you say, okay, this has been going on for like 6 months and I'm kind of like over my ex. I'm kind of actually over my ex and I'm kind of actually focused on you now. And I feel like me and you, our vibe has been vibing so well. I kind of want this to be more than just a vibe. I kind of want us to be in an actual serious relationship. But here's the problem. You've spent so much time without direction and allowing him to interact with you and vibe with you without you having any actual direction of where you want to go in the relationship. He's actually now, in the time you guys have spent together, become accustomed to that. So now the things that you want from him are different. Now, going to his house and you Ubering to his house and Ubering back and forth or driving yourself and doing all this work for him and you just for you guys to be together. Now you want dates. Now you want to be taken out. Now you want to be treated well. Now you want him to, be more intentional. Now you want him to call you more instead of just texting you casually when he has time. Now you don't want him to just pull up at 2 or 3 a.m. after he finishes at the club. Now you want him to talk to you more during the day. Now you want him to have a desire to be around you and your friends and to meet his friends and all this other stuff. But this is the major problem and the harsh truth you will learn eventually about men, right? It is very, very difficult to basically impossible to take yourself from allowing yourself to deal with men without having a direction of where you want to be, to then trying to figure out the direction as you're with him, and then as you discover that, trying to course correct afterwards. So many women make the mistake of trying to go backwards and course correct by saying, yeah, all the things I was allowing before, I don't want to allow anymore. And so now that I'm feeling like I want this to be taken seriously, I need you to change your entire approach to this relationship. In fact, the entire dynamic of our relationship needs to take a 180 degree turn, okay? That is not how this works. You will be very frustrated if you allow yourself to allow men into your life when you have not yet figured out what you want out of life. Okay? Nothing wrong with figuring things out. But if you are figuring things out, be honest with yourself about that. Like Zara just said, you have to set a boundary. Set a boundary for yourself. I am not ready to date men, which also means I'm not ready to see a man. I'm not ready to sleep with a man. I'm not ready to hang out with a man one-on-one, right? I'm not ready to do nothing with a man, okay? Until I feel like I'm in the place where I'm actually ready to move forward. When I'm ready to move forward, then I explore a romantic relationship with intention, not in a, I'm just vibing, I'm not really looking for anything serious. You'll see when we get to our Discord times and as you join the show more, if you haven't already, a lot of the stories that start off with, yeah, so at first I was cool with friends with benefits, at first I wasn't looking for anything, always end with, but now I want something serious, okay? I don't want you to be in that position, okay? And I promise you, you'll be in that position if you do it that way. Let's hop into point number 9. Point number 9. Let's do this like this. It's 9 already? Damn. What time is it though? Damn, 9:22? Oh, 8:22. This is a late night show chat. Late night show. Late night. On the low ski. Let's hop into point number 9. Point number 9. Point number 9. I'm gonna list out something. Let's see, system. I know that's not perfect chat, but bear with me. So I'm going to kind of talk about this. Did I spell that right? I'll make sure I spell that right. Yeah. Ideologies. Most. Oops. So, love, sex. Let's see. Day in the life. And we also put here, this is important as well, responsibilities. Right? Responsibilities. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's hop into point number 9, viewpoint. So, in viewpoint, for point number 9, you have to be aware of a man's belief system. So many women make this mistake of going on your date with your guy. And you say, okay, here, tell me, what do you want for marriage? Tell me how you expect to be married. And he says, marriage is not really something that's super important. And then you say, no, you're not supposed to think that. You're not supposed to think that marriage is not important. You're supposed to think marriage is very important. You're supposed to think that you want to have a wife and kids. You're supposed to think that you want to be a provider man. Because I want a provider man. I want a man who wants to get married. I want a man who wants to live in, Phoenix, Arizona. I want a man who wants to make 6 figures. And so you end up, right, coming on your date. And even in the process of getting to know a man, right, you don't even care what he actually thinks. You don't care about his perspective. You don't care about his viewpoint. You don't care about his, opinions, morals, or values. You care about yours. And then you go on the date trying to impress your opinions on the guy. This is a mistake. You're never going to convince a guy to live his life a different way. You're also not going to meet someone and then change their morals or values. You need to go on your dates, have your own perspective, your viewpoints, your own belief system. Good. Go on your dates, ask the guy, and observe of the guy, what is your belief system? Here's where a lot of people go wrong. In the process of asking them what their belief system is, don't make it seem as if, okay, I disagree with you, which means you're a bad person, or I believe differently, so you're wrong. You have to make someone feel like, no, I just want to know and understand your belief system. There is no right or wrong answer. And you actually have to be non-judgmental while that person is answering. That's the hardest part. You can't be making faces. You can't look or sound disgusted. You can't, in the way that you respond, make him feel like, oh, well, I don't agree with that, so you're wrong, which means you can't say that, which means that's not right. As weird as it sounds, I want you to encourage men, even when they say things that you're like, whoa, you think that about that? I want you to encourage them to continue telling you their perspective and their viewpoint, because you cannot build a successful relationship with someone who you are misaligned with. So many women find themselves in relationships with men who fundamentally disagree about the way to go about a particular situation because they have a fundamental difference in their ideologies. Let me give you an example of that, okay? An example of that, so I was helping a woman the other week, okay? And she asked me in a private message, I'm not gonna tell you everything, but her issue with the guy that she was dating was essentially that he would like go to the gym and he would be around like really beautiful women. He's an active guy. He's an older guy, and she didn't like that. She really doesn't like the idea of him being around attractive women. She doesn't like the idea of him finding other women attractive, of him not even just looking at another woman's like ass or anything like that, but even the idea of like being turned on by anything sexual he could possibly see, or even having the thought that he sees a woman and is like, wow, that woman is attractive. She, even to the point, would not like that her man would kiss her after watching a sex scene because she felt like, oh, you're only turned on by the sex scene, which is why you're kissing me, not because you're attracted to me. So why do I say that? She felt like, in her viewpoint, in her perspective, in her belief system and ideology, she must be with the guy who won't even have a thought that he's attracted to another woman. Not even a thought. He wouldn't act, not that he wouldn't just not act on it. He wouldn't even think about it. He wouldn't even observe another woman's attractiveness. He wouldn't even look at another woman's ass. Nothing. Okay? Cool. That's her belief system. That's her ideology. The point of contention in their relationship was the fact that she constantly felt insecure about the idea that he would find another woman attractive, he might look at another woman, and it's not even to the point where she even saw him doing anything. Just the idea of it in itself was plaguing her. That they constantly fought about this and went back and forth on this, and the guy was actually trying to change. Not that he didn't want to, he was trying to change. The problem is, though, when they share such extreme differences in their belief system like this, it becomes very difficult to resolve the problem in a way that there is any sort of compromise. Because for her, there was nothing that was good enough. And the reality of it is, the reason there was nothing that was good enough is because fundamentally, he didn't even actually believe in what she wanted. He didn't believe her same ideology. He didn't believe in her same way of going about the relationship or the situation. From his own perspective, he was more standing on the idea that, hey, you know, I don't want to disrespect you, but like I can't not find other women attractive, right? That's just not realistic. It's not possible for me. And so because they have such a difference in the fundamental of their ideologies, you're always going to have a point of contention. And it's very difficult to turn someone into a completely different person who believes in something completely different than they came into the relationship believing. So why do I say all that, and why do I give you that story? Because you will be wasting a lot of your time and energy trying to come into a relationship to convince a man to believe something that he never believed in before you. You're better off, if you want to spend as little time and energy wasted, knowing what you want and what's important to you and what your values are, and then simply only spending your time and energy with guys who are aligned with you in those really important parts. So, for example, if you believe that you should be waiting until marriage to have sex, hypothetically, then you want to align yourself with a guy who already believes that waiting until marriage, or waiting to have sex until marriage, is the best way to go about a serious relationship. You don't want to go out with a guy who believes, no, we should be having sex way before marriage, and you don't believe that, and then you're trying to convince him to believe the same thing as you. That doesn't make any sense. Okay? Right? Does that make sense? Are we on the same page? Right? Okay? Zara says, logically, that makes no sense. Don't worry. I gave her a word. I had to talk some sense into her about that ideology. Okay? Because it doesn't make sense to be to be expecting that men won't even have a thought to find other women attractive. Trust me, I told her I had a long voice message for her. Let's hop into point 10. We're at 10 already. Okay, this one's a good one as well. We have not talked about this. Maybe I should have put this. Well, all 10 were really good today, so maybe I should have tried to put this at the beginning, but there was a lot more I had to discuss as well. So this one, we're going to draw a guy here. No, we'll make him bald just to make him an extra hater. Give him extra haterade. He's always hating if he's bald. Extra hating. He's extra hating. Okay, super hater. Extra hater. Big ears. People with big ears, they always hating too. Yeah, we'll draw him big ears, okay? Big ears and bald, extra hater. So we're going to do this like this. Oops. Okay. This will be funny but true, okay? So let's talk about number 10, a hater man. So this is what one of the things I want you to think about when you're dating guys, listen to, and gain an understanding of. Sometimes you'll meet a guy, and when you hear him talk casually, it's so important to listen to people talk. He'll start to, whenever he sees a successful guy on TV, on the internet, when you guys are watching, TV together on Netflix, whatever the case may be, he's always hating on other men. Okay? Always hating. Finding some reason to hate. Whether it's an attractive guy, he don't really have much going on. He's not really that good looking. I don't even know why the girls want him. He's ugly anyways. A guy with money, he's a scammer, whatever. He don't really earn his money. It was just given to him. He's a trust fund baby. Anyone could do that, right? A successful man, he is a hand down. He didn't really work hard for that. Anyone can do that. I just don't feel like doing that. If I wanted to do that, I could do that in a second, right? So why are hater men very dangerous for you? See, being a hater is a state of being, okay? It's an energy. It's a frequency, okay? The reason I drew this like this is because that hater energy is like, going out of you and just spreading everywhere, right? It's all around you. It's surrounding you because you're always outputting hater energy, not just towards men, but towards everything. And one of the reasons I say a hater man is because one of the easiest ways to spot a hater man is he's always hating on other men, okay? Right? Sometimes they'll hate on women like Lotus Flower says, but more often they feel more comfortable hating on other men because hating on men seems less harmful than, or it seems more harmless, I should say, than, hating on women, right? So they'll hate on other men when they're insecure about themselves or where they are, that they always feel the need to pick at what someone else is doing with their life and say, oh, well, they're doing the wrong thing. They don't know what they're doing, right? For example, right? This could be something that you notice if you're dating a musician, right? Let's say you're dating someone who wants to be a successful musician. He might see other musicians and be like, oh yeah, that guy's songs, his songs are trash. oh yeah, I don't know why he gets millions of views. His stuff is low quality. He doesn't sing good. He doesn't rap good. His beats are trash. Oh, he's getting carried by, just because his marketing and just because he's got millions of dollars behind him. His stuff's trash though. Real music's what survives. I make real music. That's that fake stuff, that commercial stuff. So these are the type of things that a hater man will say when he feels insecure about his position in his own life, when he feels insecure about what people might think of him, that he feels the need to preface everything by saying, that person isn't actually better than me. That person isn't actually more talented than me. That person hasn't worked harder than me. I'm actually better than them. You just don't realize it. And let me point out to you why I'm actually better than them and you just don't realize it. The reason that's so dangerous for you in dealing with a man who's of that hater energy, that hater mind state, is if he has insecurity in where he's at and he doesn't feel good about himself, that insecurity will also eventually be taken out on you, because if he doesn't feel like a man or man enough, he will also be insecure if he feels like, it's going to sound weird, you're showing other guys attention, because he's going to start to think, oh, well, is she showing that guy attention because he's got more money than me? Is she showing that guy attention because he's more attractive than me? I'm hating, right? Is she showing that guy attention because he's more of a successful man than I am? Right? And that insecurity and that hater energy will just spill out of him in everything. He'll start to become overly controlling. He'll start to become extremely insecure about everything you're doing, everywhere you're going, right? And just in everything, he will start, even sometimes he'll start to hate on you. He'll start to try to compete with you. He'll start to, try and one-up you. Think about it. You're sleeping with a guy and you're in the bed and he's literally your biggest hater, right? And sometimes that happens when a man is deeply insecure about himself. And how do you spot that? You spot those hater men. Those hater men are always trying to put down other people to make themselves feel better about the position that they're in, okay? All right? Are we all on the same page? Now, do you guys have any questions about the 10 that we just discussed here today, okay? They were quite detailed today, quite detailed today. Okay, any questions about those 10? Does that make sense to all of you? Someone says, what if? What if what? What if what? Someone said Cardi B. What about Cardi B? What did Cardi B do? What did Cardi B do? Zara says, but can't you make him do things by using it to your advantage? In what sense? What are you discussing? Okay. Nicole says, it sounds like nothing and no one would be good enough for a hater man. Precisely. That's a good observation. Okay. Sipping on Haterade all day. Oh, by the way, Nicole, let me address one of your donations here, because I did see you donated earlier. Oh, Nicole said, this is such a great show today. I love all the great information and new topics. Thank you for your very wise insight. Thank you. I really appreciate you, Nicole Cottom. And thank you for the donation there in the YouTube chat, okay? Abby says her husband hated her. That could be an example. Now, I'm not up on celebrity gossip, but like that could be an example of that if you're saying that her husband Offset was being a hater, okay? I'm not up on celebrity gossip chat. I'd be like, I'd be too busy for celebrity gossip. But yes, if that's how it was, then yes, that could be an example of that. Real life Acapella says, I had this issue with an Aries man. He said, I gotta let other people shine. Like, how the F can I keep someone else from shining? See, that's really interesting, what you just said, real life, because that's the crazy part about, the haters will always feel like whenever you do something to up your own ante, whenever you do something to be successful for yourself, whenever you do something for yourself, they'll inadvertently feel like that is like you trying to step on them or you trying to put them down. Because if they don't feel good about themselves, you trying to level up is almost like offensive to them. How dare you like level up in front of me? Are you trying to say that I'm trash? No, I'm not trying to say you're trash. I'm trying to just level myself up. But that's how a hater will always receive it, right? They're never going to be like, oh, congrats, bro, I want to see you win and da-da-da-da. They're always going to find a reason to talk down on your success or to figure out a way to say that you're not good enough or ask you why you're trying to like one up them or stun on them. It's not a stunt, right? Maybe you want to feel good about yourself. Okay. Zara says, won't hater men keep trying to prove themselves to you? That's the best man out there for you. That he's the best man there for you. Why would a hater man be trying to do that? A hater. So I'm not talking about a hater man in the sense of thinking that he still needs to do work or wants to like prove to you that he's the best man. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the type of hater man that is insecure about his own place, right, in the world overall. And especially in comparison to other men, that he doesn't want to ever concede the fact that, you know, maybe he's not the best at everything and maybe he has work to do. Hater men are also delusioned a lot of the time because let me give you an example, okay? An example of a hater, like the best example I can give is a failed musician. Let's say someone like a guy you're dating has been spending the past 7 or 8 years trying to be a rapper, and he's not had any success as a rapper in 7 or 8 years. He's gonna feel like garbage about himself. But when you become a hardened hater man, you don't want to accept the fact that maybe you haven't done the right things, maybe you didn't, your music's not, you know, good enough, or you haven't done the right marketing, or you haven't done the right work to be able to get to the point of commercial success. If you're a hater man, you'll constantly state how other musicians aren't as good as you, don't have the same talent as you, or have some sort of advantage that you couldn't possibly have, which is why they're where they are and why you're not where you should be. Right? That's kind of the definition of a hater man, because I'm insecure about the fact that I've been working at this for so long and I haven't seen the results of other people. So I need to justify the fact that other people have surpassed me by making claims about how they're not as good as me. And in fact, I'm better than them. People just don't realize it. That's what really a hater man stems from. So the problem with that, though, is now when it comes to other things, when you have that hater spirit and that hater energy about being insecure about where you're at in your own life, it kind of rubs off in your relationship because they start to feel emasculated by the smallest things. Anything that you could do, any guy, especially any guy that you might interact with, they feel automatically deeply insecure. Why? If I feel like I'm already not man enough, and then I feel like my woman might be attracted to men who are more man than me, I'm gonna have problems on problems on problems, okay? Right? We're gonna be having issues, okay? Because that deep insecurity and me already being a hater and then feeling like I'm not good enough is gonna be even more triggered by my woman and feeling inferior that to other men. And then if I feel like my woman's attracted to those men, it's just gonna be all bad, okay? Right? Lotus says, what about a very competitive man? That's not a problem. You can work with that. You can work with a competitive man. Class says hater men are unable to celebrate other people's success. 100%. 100%. When you're in that frequency where you hate on everything because you don't feel secure in yourself or you're not happy with where you're at, you don't want to see other people happy. You don't want to see other people successful. It's a reminder of your lack of success. Okay. Which just the reality of life. Okay. That's where you see, whenever you see someone doing something good, and you see a comment on there that's like, let's say someone saves a cat out of a tree, and someone comments, because you're thinking, okay, saving a cat out of a tree is a really good thing, and then someone comments like, oh, why would you save the cat like that? That was so stupid, and the fact that you saved that cat that way out of that tree, you don't realize how dumb that is. This is just so stupid. Why do people post stuff and you'd be thinking, why would you comment something so nasty? The person's just saving a cat out of a tree. There's nothing wrong with that. That's hater energy. Hater energy is, you can't, it's like a virus. Like you can't stop yourself from hating on everything. You're just mad at the world, okay? Someone says, LOL, that's my Taurus and ex you talking about. Your Taurus ex? Your ex is a Taurus right now? Okay. That's how women treat Sydney Sweeney. Is that true? I don't know. Almost 40 and want to be a rapper so bad. Oh, you're talking about the rapper part? Your ex wanted to be a rapper? That's funny. Failed rappers are very, they have a lot of hater energy. Failed rappers, because when you fail as a rapper, it's very hard to accept. Okay. Feliza says no confirmation or location. Okay, so Felicia says, I'm 39, he is 48. He asked for my number quickly and we got off the app. So you met on a dating app. That's not what I would love and advise, but okay. First date Thursday, we met for a walk on Lakeshore. Like in Toronto? You live in Toronto? Okay, Lakeshore is in Toronto. He confirmed the date 3 times, expressed looking forward to it several times. Less than 1 hour before the date, he messages to confirm again, at which point I was leaving my house to meet him. He said he can be there 30 minutes later and showed up with alcohol on his breath. So confirming last minute was a ploy to be late and drink with friends. Date went well. Great convo. He messaged to see if I was home and asked me out again right away. And we've texted here and there every day. So, okay, I'm not sure you maybe you're going to address it. What makes you think he was with friends though? There's a possibility he could have drank beforehand. I'm not saying this is right? But he could have drank beforehand because he was nervous. So that's a possibility. Okay. And maybe he was just, trying to get a little bit of courage, liquid courage going on. Friday, I even shared access to a meditation by Kim Eng, since he shared some issues he's having with his ego and judgment. And so this was a tool for him that helped me observe emotions that I still use today. He never mentions the date at all. That was supposed to be a date, or that was something you mentioned. On Sunday, I confirmed the time 6:30 for Tuesday once I got my schedule. After locking in the time, still no mention of the date or place in mind. Okay, you're talking about like what he considers for this next date, okay? Small talk texting on Monday. Tuesday, he hasn't texted. He texts every day. At 3 p.m., he texted a small chat about the weather. I already decided I was going to set a boundary and not go if he brings it up. The chit chat carried on until 6 p.m., at which point the convo died. He obviously was waiting for me to ask about our date since there was only a time set with no plan. I unmatched from Facebook dating. Also, this was on Facebook dating, and never texted again. What was the correct move to make? Should I have asked about our plans, called him out on the time of my limit? Can I even see him again if he ever reaches out? If he does, how do I approach? So, okay, let me answer these. I'll read this out and then I'll answer all your questions. I don't think I should, since he basically fumbled 2 dates, but I have the suspicion that he thinks I failed his test. What test? Did I fail? What test? There's no test there. If I did pass this test to Chase, why did he never message me again? Okay, so I don't think there was some sort of crazy test going on here to answer that question. Now, as it relates to reaching out, I don't think that it was your responsibility to reach out, because if we think about this logically, right? He's asking you out on a date or saying he wants to take you out for another date. Great, that's awesome. So he confirms the time and he confirms the place, or at the very least, very least, collaborates with you on the place that you would like to go and then makes a final decision on, okay, we will go here at this time. That's how normal human beings do things. That's even how friends do things. So if there's no collaboration there on setting a date and time, you're 100% justified. Like if someone else is supposed to be asking you out on a date, which is how it should be, in the courting stage at the beginning of a relationship, it's not your responsibility to then say, oh, so by the way, the date that you mentioned us going on Saturday, where did you want to go? Because the reason I say that is because if you have to send that message, we're not in the right place in the dynamic of your relationship. What should be happening is there should be very much him saying, I want to take you out to this place or take you here or take you there. Or at the very least, him mentioning a couple of spots or collaborating with you on where he wants to take you or where he wants you guys to go, right? If there's no collaboration and then no set time on his part, then you're already doing too much by trying to remind him of a date that he mentioned, or, a time that he mentioned, or a place that he said he would take you. At the beginning, that's already too much that you're doing, for what the dynamic should be like. So you didn't do anything wrong in your approach there. Now, what I will say is, you're asking me about how long should it be now if he reaches out after this. I always say my rule is always 2 weeks, 14 days. If in 14 days now, so the clock has started from your last conversation, okay? So the last time he texted you or whatever the case may be, that's when the clock starts for your time limit. Once 14 days passes and he hasn't reached out to you in any meaningful way, I'm not talking about sending you Instagram memes or Snapchats or anything like that. Any meaningful way, meaning like a proper proper message addressing you specifically, and say, at least saying, hey, what's up? How are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Checking up on you. No message in 14 days. That's it. That's it forever. From the standpoint of like, there shouldn't be any spinning the block. There shouldn't be any going back, because at that point, it's like his intention is so low with you that you can't really, after 2 weeks, there's no excuse of like, I was busy, I was going through this, I was going through that. Even if you have hypothetically death in the family, someone gets unalived, after 2 weeks, you'll be able to reach out to someone and at the very least explain to them what's going on. So there's no excuse for anything more than 2 weeks as it relates to that dating stage if he's not going to reach out to you or talk to you after that. So I actually think you did everything right here. I have no notes on the way that you went about this. I think you didn't overextend yourself. I think you didn't try to overcompensate when you started to feel anxious about him not setting the date and the time. And I think, you know, obviously you unmatched him and you're just trying to just move forward with yourself. But I think you went about this the right way. If he felt like, properly doing this date properly, like he's already shown the ability. It's not like he's stupid. He's shown the ability to be able to set a date, set a time where he's going to meet you and meet you at, now he did come 30 minutes late, but meet you at that place, right? So it's not like he's so dumb he can't do that. So the idea that like the second time around he wouldn't be able to do that is just stupid. And so if he's doing that, whether it be because he's playing a game with you or testing you, whatever he's trying to do here, or whether he's just an idiot, all of that is none of your concern. And you can only do what you're supposed to do, which in this case is nothing. You're not supposed to be the one setting all the criteria and all of the itinerary for the date when it's the beginning of the relationship, and he's supposed to be doing that work to show you that he can be consistent at least, right? Especially not on date number 2. So I have no notes for anything that you did, and I don't even want you worried about, okay, did you pass any test? There is no test, right? It's simply about, for you, is he going to be consistent with you? Is he going to try and date you properly? And if he's not, then you're not going to waste any of your time, especially you're not going to waste your time chasing, asking him about this. Oh, will you go out with me? Why haven't you met? No. You're not going to be desperate. None of that. All right. You don't do none of that. All right. So you did a good job. Any other? Okay. So that's the premium section. Let's go on to some of our other questions. I'm going to try and make sure this is in the right order. So I'm going to reset this so that we're in the right order here. And make sure I don't skip anything. So I think this one, okay, let me try and figure this out. This one is by just dating mode as a virgin. Okay, so I answered this one, right? Yeah, I answered this one. Yes, I did answer this one when she said, question testament, right? Did I do this one? Just if you're in the chat, did I do this one? Remember how I was single? I had some questions I want to ask. Oh yeah, I did this one. Okay, let's go back here. Oh, this was the one that I had to do that I didn't do of yours. Okay, yes. First date questions, not read yet. First date questions. What are some good and creative first date questions? Obviously, there are some more serious questions to ask him, like about his ex and stuff. But we should also ask some more fun, lighthearted questions so it doesn't feel like an interview, right? What are some examples of both serious and lighthearted questions? Also, how can we creatively ask some questions that seem like hearted but allow us to extract info without seeming so serious? So I think that the approach to the conversation is really how you make light of it. Because I'll be super honest with you. Some questions are just, they're so surface level that you're just wasting time having those conversations. I think the better way to think of it is you do want to ask important questions, but sometimes the way that you frame it might be a little bit more lighthearted. And sometimes you might set up the question by getting on the topic with some less serious things. For example, let's say you're talking to a guy, you want to find out more information about him and his ex. You might just lightheartedly start talking about your experience in dating in the past couple of weeks. And, if he's been on any bad dates or any dates where it's like, oh no, that person's really not for me, or anything, or any like horror dating stories where he's had to leave in the past couple of days, something that you guys could both laugh at or share a story about or something like that, right? That could be something that you kind of lightheartedly ease yourself into, then asking the question, okay, so how about your more serious relationships? The reason, it's not that I don't want you to have fun on your dates, because I think the fun part of the date and what you're discussing, to be things more lighthearted, is the playfulness that you'll have with someone in just like flirting. It's hard for me to kind of pinpoint exactly what flirting is supposed to look like, because when you're a conversationalist, you'll realize that conversation is about flowing wherever the conversation is going, not about having a predetermined route for where you want the conversation to go. If you're trying to have fun, okay? Now, if you're trying to extract information, of course, you have a predetermined route of where you want the conversation to go. But I don't want you to become so overly robotic that when you're trying to have fun, you're kind of like glitching, because as you're trying to have fun, you're thinking so hard about fun that it doesn't end up being fun. Right? So you kind of have to just go out and be a conversationalist. Sometimes you'll find some things to joke about. It could be the shirt that a guy is wearing. He could have a funny saying on his shirt. You might have a funny saying on your shirt. Maybe someone slips and falls and it's funny. Maybe someone looks really crazy or really goofy. Maybe something weird goes on through that. Right? There's so many things you could have a lighthearted, joking conversation about, but those are really more in the moment where you can be flirty and playful and fun. Now, those places, you don't need a predetermined route. Just flow with the conversation. And I know that's not really an answer, but that's because being a conversationalist is not about having that predetermined route. You literally just have to go there and just feel the vibes out. And I know that's really hard for people who are not experts in that and don't practice that regularly, but sometimes you just got to go in, you just got to feel the vibes out, and you just got to just have fun, let the conversation go where it goes, right? Try not to think too hard. I know some people, they need alcohol to be able to get their mind flowing, but I promise you, if you do practice that skill, right, after a while, it'll become easy for you to just chat with people. And then as the conversation goes, you'll think of different questions, you'll go back and forth, and you just have a conversation. You know, it doesn't have to be super serious, okay? Also, how do you keep asking about his ex without seeming like we're too concerned with the peasants, as you say? So asking about the ex at the beginning is not about, oh, I want to know what I'm like in comparison to your ex or anything like that. When I say concerned with the peasants, I'm talking about like when you get to a point where you've been dating a man for a consistent, period of time, and you're concerning yourself overly with like, okay, is he talking to this girl? Who's he texting now? Who's he on the phone with? Does he have another girlfriend that he's taking out? Who's he like? That is when I say don't concern yourself with the peasants, because you don't want to come across as the girl who spends all your time with the guy talking about a different girl. You get what I'm saying? But when it comes to the ex and learning about that information of the past relationship, that is really relevant information to you that you must get. It doesn't matter what you look like. You have to get that, because, and if you want to frame it in the particular way that will not make you look like a peasant, then the way that you frame it is, I'm so interested in learning about you and like what you've been through that, me hearing about your past relationship better helps me understand like what type of partner you are, what's the most important things to you, and obviously what things didn't work in your last relationship, if we want to have like a successful one, right? So if you frame it as, I want to learn and understand you better, which is why I'm asking about your ex, then at least you can come across not as a peasant, if that's what you would want to say, right? 3, how many dates until it is acceptable to compliment men, or do you just wait until you're officially in a relationship? No. So you can compliment men, but I would rather you compliment men in a way that utilizes your body language and your energy, as opposed to complimenting him with your words. Because I feel for men, it's more impactful when you can compliment them with your energy and body language, because for them, they get to actually feel, right, the compliment, in the sense that like the feeling that you give them stays with them a lot longer than the words that you could say to them. Let me give you an example of what I mean. You could go to a guy and you meet him on the first date and say, oh my God, I love your hair. I love your muscles. You look so amazing. You look so handsome. You look so awesome, right? And cool, it's a good compliment. Sure, he might be flattered, whatever. He might blush a little bit. You want to know what would be an even better compliment than saying he has a nice shirt or nice muscles, is going on that date and giving him direct eye contact and looking at him and smiling and making him feel like he's the most important person and interesting person in the room. That as a compliment is way more impactful than saying a guy has a nice t-shirt. Because that feeling that you receive from someone when it's like, oh my God, like she's really locked in on this conversation. I feel like we're the only people in the room. I feel like the most like she really cares about what I have to say. She's like hanging on to my every word in my story. I feel like you can feel also as a human being when someone is paying attention and locked in on you and your stories and what you're saying. And the reason I say that is that's the best compliment you can receive, especially from a woman. And that's the most memorable compliment you can receive, which is why, so I'm not saying don't compliment men, but make your compliments more impactful by making them a feeling as opposed to just words. Do you get what I mean? I've heard others say not to say thank you when men give you compliments on the first date and only say thank you to their actions. Okay, whoever's spilling you this type of rhetoric, these people, they're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That's just idiotic. Not saying thank you when someone compliments you is just idiot. You're gonna come across as a stuck-up person who, like, you're gonna think you're doing some sort of strategy and you're just making yourself look goofy. Okay. If someone compliments you, says, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Oh my God, I love your, say thank you. That's common. That should be common sense. Don't let people trick you into, that's like self-sabotage there, right? You can say thank you to a compliment, okay? You can say thank you to him opening the door as well, right? What you don't need to do is you don't need to, let's say he says, oh my God, your skin is so nice. You don't need to say, oh my gosh, I look disgusting today. Oh my gosh, my skin is so oily. My skin is so nasty. I don't even have nice skin. My skin's not glow. Like, that's what you don't need to do. You can say thank you though. Instead, they suggest saying aw, or that's sweet, or maybe and I appreciate it. Since when is thank you a crime? You can say thank you. This is just too much. Do you agree, or do you think it's insignificant? I'd actually rather you just say thank you. Like, I don't understand what is the problem with saying thank you. That's doing too much. Do guys find it rude or weird when you order an appetizer on a date in addition to an entree? Obviously wouldn't order dessert or anything unless he suggested it, but should you look at some and wait for his response before ordering an app? If the waiter asks, this is such a specific question. Okay, so I'm gonna approach this from two perspectives. I'm gonna approach it from a guy perspective, and then I'm gonna approach it from your perspective. As a guy, if I go on a date, I don't give a damn what she orders. She can order whatever she wants. She can order the whole damn menu if she feels like. Okay, so I don't really care because I don't go on, like, I'm not gonna go on a date feeling like, I need to conserve money. Okay. Like, I don't think that's the right mindset to go on a date with. So you want an appetizer, you want dessert, let's get dessert. Like, whatever. If we don't finish it, whatever, pack it up. It's whatever. That should be the mindset that most men are going on dates with, if they're in a healthy place. Like, go on there with money to spend. You shouldn't be trying to hold the funds. Okay. You're trying to hold the funds on a date. You ain't in the right place. You got to get yourself some more money a little bit, probably. So, that from the guy's perspective, it shouldn't be a problem. Now, from your perspective, I think ending or I should say preventing the confusion would be as easy as having a conversation about it. Hey, what are you feeling? You feeling like an appetizer? What are you in the mood for? I'm not sure what I'm in the mood for. Like, you could say, I'm not sure what I'm in the mood for. Do you think an appetizer would be good? Do any of these appetizers look good to you? And then let him answer, oh yeah, the chicken fingers, the chicken, the poutine, the whatever, the whatever looks good. Yeah, maybe we might have to get the appetizer, get the oysters, or get the whatever. And then you can collaborate on it because you both would be interested in the appetizer. I think appetizers work the best when both people are interested in it, not just one person. So I don't think ordering an appetizer is bad. If you want to have extra communication, just have a conversation about it beforehand. I know you say to avoid going to the movies. Yes. But if on the first date, you guys talked about a new movie in theaters you'd want to see, is it okay if he suggests that for the second date? Is it better if he suggests dinner afterwards? Even this would be a break the 2-hour rule. Even if this would break the 2-hour rule. I would say first 3 dates. Okay, I'd honestly say first 4, to be honest with you. First 3 to 4 dates, I don't want you to do a movie. I don't want you to do a movie because you're not going to learn anything during the movie about him. The first 3 or 4 dates, I really want you being as efficient as possible with the time that you spend. Because let's say hypothetically, you do like first date is dinner and then the second date is a movie and then you guys go home after that. Let's say the third date, for whatever reason, is tragic. Like, now you learn some things about him that you really realize he's not going to be the person that you want to be with, right? You kind of wasted a date because you could have possibly learned that on the second date and wasted one less, date going out with him, or one less week, right? Maybe you have a date a week or something like that. So I want you to be thinking about using your time efficiently, right? You go out on the dates to learn about the person. So you're not going to learn about the person when you go to a movie. I'm not saying movies are bad. They just don't give you an opportunity to learn about that person. You can't. You're not supposed to talk during the movie. And even if you do chit chat, it's going to be small chit chat. And then you're going to recap what you saw in the movie. So you waste the 2 hours, because I don't want you doing no damn marathon dates. I'm not going to make an exception for that, right? You waste the damn 2 hours spending it with him, and then you don't get to know any more information about him. And literally the same place you were at from the beginning of the movie is the same place you're at the end of the movie. So what's the actual purpose of this entire date then? You don't know anything more about him. And you definitely don't want to use the date as an excuse to have a 4-hour date by going to dinner and then going to a date after, going to a movie after. Movie dates are for when you've already established your relationship, and then you guys can just do different things. Not every day has to be like, we learn everything about each other, right? But those first few dates, you get to give yourself an opportunity to learn about that guy, know what he's like, right? Also, the problem with movie dates as well, it's such an easy excuse to be intimate before you actually know anything about the guy, right? You're in a dark place. Sometimes too with movie dates, it might be a newer movie, right? Or it might be new to him. Maybe he didn't see it. And it might be a bad movie, right? Or it might have been out for a couple of weeks. And so it's playing in a theater. And when you get into the theater, there's damn near 12 or 16 people in there. And so now you guys are in the back of the theater. It's dark. The movie's playing. And maybe halfway through the movie's kind of boring for both of you. Now, he starts touching on your thigh. He starts feeling you up. Maybe you guys get distracted. You share a kiss or whatever. And it's so easy for things to escalate in a way that they would never if you were able to just have a chat with the guy on a picnic, even on a walk or on a coffee date. That would only happen because of the intimacy of being in the movie theater and just passively watching the movie, right? Does that make sense? Someone said he can watch that movie by himself or with his mom. That's funny. Let's hop into our next question here. Let me see here. So we'll save your roast and toast me like a rotisserie chicken. What was that question about? Let me make sure I didn't skip any of these. What question should I ask a man I like? Did I skip this? Damn. Now I can't remember. I gotta go back and I'll recap these and see if I skipped any of them on my own time. And then make sure about them, because just did say some of them go away after 30 days for whatever reason. That's so weird. He sees, whoa, I don't think I did these. She might be right. Okay, I don't think I did this either. Okay, so let me do this. So Kay says, advice on how to turn a new fling into a relationship. Okay. Hi, Tomisin. I love your show and that all you're doing to help us. So I'm 25 and I went on a date last week with a guy who's 24 I met on a dating app. Before you come for my neck, I was on there just to see what it was all about, meet new people and make friends. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, Kay? What do you mean I was just on the dating app to make friends? That's not how that works. You can go outside and make friends. You could go to the gym and make friends. You don't need a dating app to make friends. Don't do that. Don't try me. It was for 2 weeks and I've already deleted my account after satisfying my curiosity. Stop it. You didn't go on there to make friends. Okay. So I matched with him. We exchanged contacts and started casually texting and getting to know each other a bit. And after 2 weeks, he saw that we had common interests, so he asked me out. I came out of a 3-year relationship months prior. So kind of exactly what I was talking about today. You're not really ready. It was long distance for the last year and he barely even took me out. So it's been a long time since I went on a date. What are you saying though? Are you ready to date again? Because it doesn't sound like you're actually ready to date again. It sounds like you're open to the idea of possibly exploring something, but you don't really know yet if you're ready to date. That's not what I want you to be doing. Excuse me. Okay. Anyway, I went on this date expecting to meet some flirtatious, smug guy who thinks he's fine because he's handsome, not gonna lie. And On the date, I did as you said and asked questions, genuinely interested in knowing him more, and was pleasantly surprised to find out he was not what I was expecting. He was friendly, down to earth, and not smug at all, which I liked on the first date. Okay, on the first date. Now, I'm not saying this to say he's going to be a horrible person. I'm just saying this to say it's the first date. Yes, you learning what you're learning on the first date, but there's plenty more to go, okay? As the date went on, I saw how we had a lot in common and had the same interest, and when the date ended, he expressed that he really liked me and enjoyed this date more than he expected too. He dropped me home and we shared a kiss. The vibe was right. I don't know. Don't judge me. Anyways, he told me that he wanted to see me again and even planned what we're going to do next time. He's going to Sweden this weekend for work and he'll be back in 10 days. So we agreed that we'll see each other after he was back. Okay, so I won't say it yet. I won't say it. Let's just see how this goes. We've been chatting here and there, and I asked him what he was looking for, and he said he wants good vibes. Okay. And good chemistry with someone, and hopefully if it turns into something meaningful. And I told him that I am too, and I'm looking to have good dates, good times with someone I could really vibe with. I told you, the kids love vibes. And if that leads to something serious, then that would be great. His response verbatim was, "That's nice. We're definitely in the same boat. Our first date has such a good vibe. The kids love vibes. And I feel real chemistry between us. I say, let's see where things go." Yeah. I mean, you're such a sweetheart. I already want to spend more time with you. And I agreed that I enjoyed the date as well, and I would like to see where this goes. Yeah. So, dearest Tomisin, I want your advice on how to approach this, because I want it to work out, and I want to know all the right steps I should take to turn this into a meaningful relationship. Thank you again for all the great work that you're doing. God bless you. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, my concern is, I know what you guys were trying to say when you both said we'll see where things go. Here's my main concern for you, though, is how ready are you for a serious relationship? I hope you watched today's show, because we kind of discussed exactly the state that you're in. Are you actually ready for a serious relationship with a man who's going to like date you, like, and make you his girlfriend right now? Because you just came out of a 3-year relationship months prior to this. Okay. This cannot be understated. So you might think you're okay. Yeah. I haven't really been able to date someone, so I want to get back out there. But are you really honestly ready to be in a relationship again? Right? Like, I'm talking about right now. Because if you're on the date and you're still figuring out your feelings towards dating, and you're still not sure if your feelings for your old relationship have been resolved, then you're not ready to date yet. Here's the problem with that. This "let's see where things go" mantra is going to actually make you more confused than it will give you clarity. Because I want you to be sure of what you want and what you expect in a dating stage going into it. That way, if you stop seeing it, you know that you stopped seeing it, and you know that this has stopped aligning with what it is that you want out of a relationship. The problem with let's see where things go is, if you don't have a baseline of what your expectation is, then how will you know if you're sticking to that expectation or not? You'll just be going with the flow. So he might talk to you for a couple of days and then he might not, but you're going with the flow. He might be consistent some days and then he's not, but you're going with the flow. He might, ask you out on dates some days, but then some days, he's just at your house and you guys just sleep together, but you're going with the flow. So without any understanding of what it is you actually want out of the situation, you won't know whether you're getting to that place or whether you're far away from that place. So ask yourself the most important question, which is, am I actually ready for a serious relationship right now? If the answer to that question is not a 100% yes, then stop dating this guy. Okay. If it's "I'm not sure," stop dating this guy. If it's "no," stop dating this guy. If it's "I have to think about it," stop dating this guy. Because I want you in a place where you're like, nope, I'm ready for a serious relationship, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. I know what the expectation is. I know what the expectations is that I want that guy to have, and that's all I'm here for, right? Because here's my question to you, and I don't want to scare you, but this popped into my mind when he said it, and you mentioned it here, right? He's going to Sweden for a week, for work, and he'll be back in 10 days. So we'll see each other when he's back. So he travels for work, right? That's not crime. You met him where? On the dating app. So question for you, okay? Let's just be super real. We're all adults here. Do you think that when he is in Sweden for those 10 days, that he will explore the dating apps, right, in Sweden and try and look to go on a date with a woman for those 10 days that he's in Sweden? Be honest. Do you think in those 10 dates, he's not going to open up the app and match with the girl and try and go out on a date with her? My other question, when he comes back and he's back in your city, do you think he is not going to continue swiping and going on more dates with more girls? I'm not saying it's a crime that he'll date other people. I'm not saying that that's a crime. But I'm asking you, like, do you understand what you're actually saying here, right? You're not saying you guys are going to explore, like it's like he's only going to date. He's definitely going to be dating and going on dates with other people. He might just sleep with some of them too as well. So I hope that you're aware of what you're actually, signing yourself up for and what the actual expectation will likely be. Because, this is the problem when you meet a guy on a dating app. As much as you would want this to be the way it works, it's not the way it works, in the sense that you're not going to meet a guy on a dating app and then get him to delete the dating app the moment he starts going on dates with you. So this is the catch-22 of dating apps. You might like the date that you go on, and you might not like the next couple of dates you guys go on. That doesn't mean he's going to stop swiping and stop going on more dates. But down the line, when you like the guy, you might find it frustrating that he's still swiping and going on more dates. So how okay or not okay are you with the idea that he's still going to be swiping and still going to be matching and still going to be going on more dates with more girls? If that bothers you, you might have to reevaluate where you're even finding your men. Because any guy you find on a dating app is going to have that lifestyle. They're going to be swiping and going on more dates. That's just the reality of it. So that's another question that I think you need to ask yourself in evaluating what's the best, next step and course of action. Now, as it relates to allowing him to court you, I don't think that you need to be doing any work here. I don't think that you need to be going over the top in terms of texting him or reaching out to him or anything like that. I know do nothing doesn't sound like a strategy, but there really isn't much to do when you're in the courting stage, in the sense that if the guy approaches you, he said he wants to date you, he said he wants to get to know you, then let him do that. Of course, I'm not saying you don't reciprocate energy, you don't show him any interest, but you don't need to be the one saying, when are we going out on the next date? That's not your job. You don't need to be the one saying, hey, I want to call you on the phone. I want to speak to you. I want to talk to you. You don't need to be doing that. That's not your job. It's his job to show you that he means business by talking about how he's interested in you, by talking about how he wants to explore the relationship. And of course, you reciprocate. You can be flirty. You can give him energy back to show him that you like him back, but you don't need to be going over the top and doing a whole bunch of stuff to try and prove to him anything. That's not the stage where you're at. So all that's left for you to do is be patient and see if he actually is about what he says he's about. The biggest thing probably for you right now will be, because you sent this message a while ago, after the 10 days, how does he come back and how does he interact with you? Because some guys might say that, and then after the 10 days passes, they're not having the same level of interaction with you as they once said. Okay, so maybe you might have to update us on that. Let's hop into our next question here. Jess, I think you're right. I think the questions do disappear. They go off after 30 days. That's quite interesting. So God's favorite. This one was deleted. How do you punish a man? He sees me as a little sister. Okay. Okay. So Mary says he sees me as a little sister. Hello, Tomisin. I'll make this question short so it's easy for you to read. I'm 22. And the guy I like, he's 26. We've known each other since I was 15 and he was 19. But he's also seen me as a little sister and not something more. Can this change now and how? Whoa. Well, this is a question that would need a lot more context. I don't even know what's your relationship with him. Like, I know how long you've known him, but what's the context of how you've known it? Is it high school? In that time period, has he shown you any interest? Like, people don't just go like, okay. You're saying he sees you as his little sister. Does he have some sort of relation with your brother? Is he friends with your brother or something? Has he like known you like through family friends for a long time? Like why is it that he sees you as a little sister? And if he's saying that, if he's never made a move on you in the how many years that you've known him, right? In the years that you've known him, then he might not have romantic interest in you, which is okay. That's perfectly fine. But I wouldn't say that this just randomly changes unless you guys have some sort of interaction, or unless you grow into your woman body or something like that, something drastic. I don't think that your relationship with him is just casually going to change overnight, right? Unless something like really impactful happens or changes. If you guys have not had a pretty platonic relationship up until this time, and he hasn't done anything or said anything to make you think he's romantically interested in you, I don't think that just magically comes out of nowhere. So to answer your question, it doesn't change randomly. An impactful moment could change that, but it's not just gonna out of thin air change, okay? Like I said, maybe when he met you, you were 15, you didn't grow into your woman body now you look like a woman at 22. That could possibly change his outlook on seeing you as a little sister. But, those are the type of things where it's like, something has to actually happen for that to change. It's not just gonna change for no reason, right? So, and unless if he's not been giving you any signs, then it's probably not changed, to be honest with you, okay? Let's hop into our next question here. So let me see here. So just, okay, then we did K, then Mary. This is Shyla? I like that name, Shyla. Okay, I like that. Sharing my story did we do this one? I think we did this one. Sharing my story is caution. Single 2 months, I want to share my story because we did do this one. I did everything wrong in the relationship. Okay, yeah. It seems like some went and some didn't. Shyla. All right. This one is whoa. Okay. This one comes from L. Did I skip one? Okay. I captivated him. Now what? Hi, Tommy. I captivated a big dog. Okay. What do I do now or not do to keep him? I like him too. A man approached me at the gym while I was practicing my dance choreographies. He's probably looking fine, practicing them dances. Probably what it was. He stopped me to ask me if I'm a professional dancer and about dancing, and we exchanged shows. You must have been dancing up a storm. He couldn't stop looking. He gave me a cardio tip and DM'd me shortly after to ask me how my cardio. Oh, he wants you. He wants you. I replied a day later with a pic of my cardio saying, thanks for the tip. I stopped going to the gym for a few days and he DM'd me. When am I going to see you at the gym? Oh, damn, he want you. He want you. You must have been dancing the way he want you. Because he offered to help me with my work. Oh, he want you. He's trying to help you with them workouts, all right. He's trying to help you with them squats, which we did the following week on Sunday. We spent 3.5 hours working out. God damn. Damn, you was working out for 3.5 hours? That's a long workout. You had some baby oil in that workout? What type of workout was y'all doing for 3.5 hours? I want your opinion on what went down. He spotted me and had to grab. Whoa, I tell you, boy, y'all had a workout, huh? He spotted me and had to grab my lower waist muscle areas, quads, glutes, arms to tell me what muscle groups should be activated for demonstration. You like that, right? You living in a Wattpad story. You was loving this. This is like one of your fantasies fulfilled. We spent some short time in the sauna afterwards. God damn. Okay, good. Okay. Hey, yo, okay. I see how, okay. I didn't know what type of story this was going to be. This is that. Okay, let me stretch. I didn't know what type of story this is going to be. Oh, it's that type of story. It's that type. Let me stretch my back out. You freaky. You freaky up in the gym. Okay, what type of gym you go to? This ain't a Good Life, is it? That's not a Crunch either. That's not no Crunch Fitness. You can't do that in Crunch Fitness. This is a freak gym y'all going to. What type of freak gym y'all at? Okay. Yeah. Someone said he cared about your cardio, all right. It's a freak gym y'all at. What type of freak gym is this? How do you guys eat? Wait. I'm trying to understand. Let me reset my chair. Chat, what type of gym they let you have the girls and the guys share the same sauna? What type of gym is that? I don't think I've ever been to a gym where the girls and the guys can go in the same sauna. I didn't even know that was a thing. What type of gym is that? They said this is a different type of gym. Okay. That's someone said that's a freak gym because the gyms I go to have gendered saunas. Yeah, I would think saunas especially would be Lifetime Fitness. Lifetime Fitness has the co-ed saunas. Oh damn, that's some. They better put a blue light in them saunas. Them saunas got it. Must have it going on in there. So you guys spent a short time in the sauna. He took off his shirt. Sharing his water bottle because I ran out of water. Yeah, y'all sharing fluids, all right. Okay. I feel there was chemistry, but I don't know. He kept high-fiving and holding my high five, almost like holding my hands, fist bumping me, and he kept hugging me to congratulate me on my workouts. This is like literally a Wattpad story. He kept grabbing my arm during stretch, and our legs kept touching and grazing each other. Oh, I can tell the way you're describing this was turning you on. I can just see the way you're wording this here. This was all turning you on. The way you're describing this, you was turned on during this. You don't have to lie. It's okay. It's not a crime, right? I'm just saying. I know. I know. We had the gym to ourselves for the last 2 hours because his boy who works there let us stay there longer. Okay. Okay. He walked me to my car, hugged me, and texted me, "Amazing job tonight." Yeah, it was an amazing job. Yeah, it was. He asked me in person when we could meet again, and I said that I would let him know how I feel Sunday night, but I don't remember the details, and I feel like we agreed to see each other the following day, Monday, but again, I told him I would let him know and wasn't sure. Okay, so this is kind of on you now. If a gym date's not bad. You know, I'm not going to fault that. You guys are getting fit together. A gym date's not a crime. So, but if you're not going to let him know when the next time you guys are going to do your little workout together, how do you expect you guys to collaborate? Like, he's only going to ask so many times before, like, it's like, okay, he's not going to keep asking you, keep saying, "I'll let you know," right? He asked me Monday night how my body was feeling. Yeah, he wants to know, all right? And I said it was sensational. AKA sore. You say sensational when you're describing sore. Okay. And he said, I love it. It's been 3 days and I don't even know what to respond to him to get him to ask me to work out again. What could I say? Well, okay, so my question is, why do you keep saying "I'll let you know" though? So sometimes I see women that struggle with this. If a guy prompts you by saying, "Hey, I would love to see you again. When are you free? When are you available?" Like, you have to give him some sort of response, at least for him to be able to check in. For example, if you actually don't know when you'll be free again, then you can say, "I'm not exactly sure when I'll be free again, but by Friday, Saturday, Wednesday, I will let you know the day that works best for me," and then get back to him. Okay. At least then you leave it open-ended that when you know the day that works for you, you can say it and you're already prompted to say it. The problem with this is, why keep saying "I'm not sure, I'm not sure, I'm not sure," and then now you're in a position where you're like, "But I want him to ask me again." But it's like, when he asked you, you didn't give him a solid day, and you also didn't give him a time period in which you would get back to him by with an answer. So now, of course, you're going to be in a position where you're like, "When is he going to ask me again?" How would he know to do that when all you said is "I'll let you know"? So your only option there really is to say, "Yeah, by the way, I'm free on this day or free on that day if you want to work out again." You're going to have to bring it up because there's no other way for him to just have the expectation to read your mind there, right? Should I give him an explanation as to why I didn't follow up, that I couldn't make it to the gym? I was very sore, busy with work, and I got very sick until recently, so I had to stop exercising. Please let me know if I dropped the ball and how to course correct to respond with an explanation. Did I blow it? I would say you didn't necessarily blow it, but you definitely have to course correct in the sense that you have to now recalibrate and say, "Oh, my bad, like with the gym stuff, I wasn't trying to flop. But I had a bunch of work stuff going on that was up in the air, but now I know my schedule better. So I'm going to be free the next coming weekends or next Wednesday or whatever the case, next couple of days, to be able to work out if you want to." And then you just have to leave it there. If he doesn't respond or he doesn't say anything to that, then just leave it there. But that's the only way. You're going to now have to bring it back up to address it because you were kind of being wishy-washy. And even if I was his friend as a guy and I was advising him, I would tell him, "You've already asked a couple of times. You cannot continue pressing. Once you ask a girl, hey, you want to go out here, you want to do this, you want to do that, and she keeps saying, I'll let you know, I'll let you know, I'll let you know, that's when you have to literally pull back as a guy. Because if she's not going to give you a proper date and time where she wants to hang out, then she's probably not as interested as you're imagining, right? So I would tell that to a guy if I was advising him. So you have to course correct in letting him know this, I'll let you know, is not because I'm not interested, and it's not because I'm trying to flop on you or anything like that. It's really because I actually had stuff to do. I'm course correcting by telling you my free days now, and that I would be open to hanging out now or doing a thing if you want to do a thing, right? What to do to let him know I'm still interested in flirt, but not chase this big dog? Exactly what I just said, right? But now, once you course correct and let him know, okay, I'm not trying to flop, I'm not trying to be weird. These are the days I'm free. I would love to, go to the gym again. If that's what you want to do another gym day or whatever. And then you go to the gym and then you just continue from there. He should then be able to take back the lead of asking you out again and, saying things. And if he says, yeah, when's the next day you're free that we can go out, give him an actual date. Okay. And if that day doesn't work for him, then give him another day in the future that you'll be free, right? Start giving him days to work towards, because you don't want to let the ask go unanswered to the point where you just say, okay, I'll let you know again. And then you don't let him know. And then you're in no man's land again, right? Every time he asks you and he follows up with when's the next time I can see you, give him an actual solid day. Okay. How do I respond to his dry text? I don't think you should be worried that much about dry text. If you guys are seeing each other and having a great time, no need to respond with dry text. In fact, for the amount of Wattpad you're going through and intensity that you're going through with these gym dates where you're grazing each other's legs and he's grabbing your glutes, as weird, as strange as it might sound, I think if you want to keep the flirtatious and sexual energy at a maximum, actually keep the text to a minimum, because the having no text keeps it so how can I explain this? Keeps it so innocuous and ambiguous what's going on. And if the flirtatious energy is really sexual tension, that it's almost exciting and exhilarating to go to the gym date again. And then it's like, oh, last time he was touching on my glutes. Is he going to try it again? Is he going to make a comment? Is he going to, you know what I mean? Do this? Is he going to do that? Right? Obviously you guys aren't having sex, but it just ups the ante on the intensity where you're both kind of in your own head about it. So I actually think in this scenario, let the text be dry. Who cares? You guys are having your intense baby oil gym days, sauna days, and let that be the intensity that you guys look forward to. No need to try and make text messaging more intense. You guys are already having intense moments in person. Where did this go? You kind of changed some of the questions here. Okay. Is he doing his job and being kind and hospitable because I frequent at the same gym? Is he a trainer? The way you didn't make it sound, wait, is he a trainer? Let me see here. Did you, choreography? You didn't say anything about him being a trainer. You're not paying him to do this. He's not getting paid to be there. I can't imagine this man approaching me for any other reason other than he likes how I look. I would say I look good that day. Yeah, that's not a crime. Yeah, you look sexy. He wants to approach you at the gym. You got a fat booty. He likes fat booties, and you have a pretty face. He likes pretty faces. He's going to approach you that's not a crime. If he's a masculine man who has working hormones, yes, he finds you attractive. Yes, he's going to approach you. Are we confused? You said he's not a trainer? Yeah. So he likes what he sees. He going to approach you. Are we shocked here? If you look good, he's a hormonally regular man with confidence and courage. Yeah, he going to approach you. Why are we confused here? I know I should get to know him as we interact more, but are there any red flags or things to look out for when speaking to him? He knows a lot about fitness, and I can tell he takes care of his body. He gave me some workout tips to get better stamina as a dancer, so I thought it was nice, but I also realized maybe he's just doing his job as a gym manager, but you said he's not a trainer. He's a manager at the gym, but not a trainer? Okay. And being nice to women is just a work perk. I try not to be delusional when men approach me because he's hot and works in sales around hot women. Okay, so yes and no. He definitely is at work, but unless I'm mistaken, when you guys were there at the gym at that time, was he on the clock? So that because he might be a manager there, but when you guys were working out together, maybe he wasn't actually getting paid. So that actually can be quite a difference there, right? If he was getting paid while he was there, that could be a different thing. Now, if he was going out of his way to have a workout session with you when he was not getting paid to be there and he just happened to come to the same gym that he works at, then I think that that's a different story, because that obviously that requires intention. He's not just already there working out with you when he's already getting paid to be there. He's actually going to that gym for the purpose of seeing you and spending time with you. That's a totally different thing. So I would have to know which one it is there. I don't know if you know the answer to that question. As a fellow big dog, how to proceed? He's tall, handsome, hung like a horse. How would you know he's hung? How would you know that? I'm not sure how you would know that. Okay. He's hung like a horse and charismatic and in sales at a different gym we go to. Oh. So that's the gym you guys went to is not the gym that he works at. So you're good. He's the sales manager at a different gym. He's a sales manager at a gym in a college town, and he told me that he is working towards being a general manager, becoming general. So you're fine then. He didn't. So the reason I'm saying you're fine is because this is not his job place. This is not his workplace. So when he met you, when he met you and you guys were training together, he wasn't getting paid to be there, right? He came to that gym for the sole purpose of going to a workout, like a gym date with you specifically, not to just be in the general area where he was already going to be. So that's actually good. Someone says, you say, I wasn't turned on because I was sore, but yes, my kitty was wet, but I couldn't feel it because I was so sore. Oh, he must have been taking you through it. So, okay, I'll say this. This is actually, it's a good sign from the standpoint of clearly he was really trying to train. Like he wasn't trying to goofball around. Hey, we're just kind of sort of training, and then we ain't really taking this serious. Like it seems like he was really trying to train because you're really actually sore. So, which is good. I think that so first of all, obviously that's always a healthy lifestyle. But I also think he's trying to gauge. Okay, you look good. You look like you take care of yourself. So part of the bond here is like, hey, we'll push each other to really like do our best in the gym or whatever the case may be, because it doesn't seem like he was taking the date or the gym together as a joke, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think honestly it's cool. Also, because I said I would play it by ear, not to be wishy-washy. No, he wasn't on the clock. He left the sales manager job 30 minutes away to meet me off the clock. So I don't think actually you have anything much to worry about so far. Here's the one thing I will say though, okay? Because I know guys like this, the one thing I will say is obviously if he has the courage to come up to you and talk to you when you look good in the gym, it is possible that he meets other girls in the gym and he starts talking to them. Now, you're not going to be able to control who a guy does and doesn't talk to. But I will say, I will say that in this situation, right, you can only control what you can control. So he came up to you, he wanted to talk to you, he wanted to go on a gym date, cool. I would say for right now, all I want you to focus on is allowing him to be as consistent with his pursuit as he feels necessary in doing so. So if the gym dates turn into, hey, I want us to go out for dinner, I want us to do this, I want us to do that, then let him court you. I don't want you to worry right now too much about what he's doing in his spare time or his extracurricular time, because I do think based on what you're describing right now, there is a good level of intention there. The fact that he's not seeing you on the clock, he's going to another gym to specifically see you and talk to you and spend time with you. Someone said he has followed girls on his Instagram. Well, are you talking about girls from the gym? You're talking about girls from the gym that he's followed on Instagram? First of all, how would you know that? You're checking his Instagram like that? But here's the other thing, right? Like at this point, you guys have only been on one gym date. So your expectations can't be, oh, I don't expect him to explore other relationships. You guys just went on one. It's not really even a date, just kind of like a gym meeting. So obviously you're still feeling out how you feel about each other. Now, when you get into like, you're going on dinner dates and, it's getting more serious, obviously then things got to change. But right now, him meeting girls and following girls, you're not going to be able to control that or be like, oh, I'm not going to talk to the guy because he's single and is living like a single guy, right? You've only gone on one gym date, right? So I don't think that that's a crime right now. Obviously, you don't want him doing that if you're his girlfriend or he's your boyfriend, but we can't yet be sure that, oh, he's doing that in his spare time or he's going to do that if he's in a relationship, right? You also say, I don't know if they're gym girls for sure. You're still in the feeling out stage. So right now, let him come to you. Let's see how consistent he'll be with saying, hey, let's go out, let's do this, let's do that. And then see how you feel about the guy. Also, you know, do a fair bit of yapping, you know, on your gym dates. I know the gym is kind of like, okay, let's get to it, let's focus. But if you can do some yapping, you know, try and do some yapping. You know, it doesn't have to be the most deep conversation ever, but see what you can kind of start to get to know about him. Even you could start off light and just say, okay, you know, what got you on your fitness journey? What inspired you? You know what I mean? Like, you know, why do you take your health so seriously? Is there anything that happened to you or just philosophy you want to live by? You know, what would you love in a relationship? Like, would you love to be able to go to the gym with your partner and things like that? These are the different questions you can ask to just get an understanding of his mindset, what he wants, what his expectations are. And hopefully at some point, this should not just be only gym dates, but like, you know, some dinner dates, something outside of the... What? When did you put this? He is hung because his print kept poking out, and I think I gave him a boner. What the hell? He kept trying to hide his pee-pee print. Question, can you tell a guy has a big pee-pee because of his print? How do you expect me to have the answers to that? How am I supposed to have the answers to that? I mean, based on the way that you're describing the situation, I can see him getting a boner for sure. What did you're funny. Yeah, there's definitely some sexual tension there. So that's why I say you don't need to be overly texting. I think honestly, they'll have the best sexual tension when you guys are not really texting about any of this and just meeting each other. And it's like, oh my God, I'm horned up. Okay, great. Nothing wrong with sexual tension. Okay, so that's my advice to you here. Give this some time to go on. Do not make the mistake again of just saying, oh yeah, I'll let you know, and then not letting him know. Or not giving a day. Give days when he asks you about when he can see you next. That way he can plan for it, he can schedule for it. And if you're truly not sure, tell him the day in which you will get back to him for an actual date. Like date in which you're available. You get what I'm saying? So don't just leave him hanging with, I'll give you an answer at some point. Give him when you'll give him the answer by, and when you give him that answer, it should be the actual day where you can be free, so that you guys can work from there, right? Let's hop into our next question here. Okay, so clearly there's a bunch that I have skipped. So that was L. This one comes from, I can't pronounce the name because it's in Chinese, I believe. Oh, this is really, really long. Okay, let me see. Okay, I can't do one this long right now. So I'm going to just give a pause on this. We'll do these extra long ones at the top of another show. Let me see if this one's shorter. Okay, this one's shorter. I'll do this one. How to discourage certain kinds of compliments. Okay. EBS says, I'm 28, single, and dating guys. I'm finding it difficult to find the balance between accepting compliments but discouraging flattery without seeming like I can't take a compliment. Why would you want to discourage flattery? I adore a genuine compliment, especially about my personality as opposed to my looks. I always make sure to accept those as well and generally react in a way that encourages him, that's the behavior that I like. I hate it when guys flatter me or try to give way too many compliments / compliments that are only ever based on my appearance. I lose interest as that's low effort and generally gives off the vibe that he's only interested in my physical being. I need to find the reaction that doesn't seem like I can't take a compliment / I'm arrogant, but generally shows him that that kind of flattery / compliments solely about my body don't impress me, and he needs to step up his game or move along. I think that EBS, I think that this is a little bit of a mistake, because when you start trying to control the way that people show appreciation for you, it can kind of become a slippery slope. I'm not saying that you're wrong or not justified in wanting people to appreciate, like, your personality, your character, like the inner parts of your being. But the problem with the root of what you're asking is you're a woman, right? So of course you don't want men to be lusting over you. Of course you don't. And you want their attention and appreciation of you to be high quality. But you're also a woman from the standpoint of, if you begin discouraging a man from being open about how beautiful he finds you, how attractive he finds you, how seductive and sexy he finds you, I get why you don't want that to be the only thing he sees about you and the only thing he compliments of you. But as you're trying to make an effort in discouraging that, let me ask you a question, and then you answer this for me. If you end up in a long-term relationship, right? 2-3 years, right? You marry a man, and that man never compliments your looks really ever, because you spent so much time practicing trying to discourage him from complimenting your looks. Will you feel good or will you feel poopy? Because, and this is something you really have to think about, ask and you shall receive. But sometimes the way you might receive it might not be all you imagined it would be, or it might include things that you never realized were included in what you were asking for. And this is one of those examples, because you're saying, I don't want him to be, all interested in my body and only complimenting me on that. Of course not. And I completely understand that. But in your question of trying to kind of discourage them from giving you that type of compliment, sure. Let's say you train a guy to discourage him from giving you any sort of appearance related compliment. Will you, when you're 35, right? Or you're going into your 40s and you're with the same guy, will you feel good about yourself, or will you feel a little bit insecure when he's never making any sort of compliment about your appearance at all? You're a woman, remember. Let's be so for real. When you get dressed up and you feel like, you look like you that girl, and you look in the mirror and you're feeling sexy and you want, you're expecting your man to be like, his jaws drop and he's telling you how sexy you are. When you don't get that compliment, or you don't get that validation, you know what I mean? Let's just be real. We all enjoy validation. And he doesn't say, oh, you look sexy, girl. You look amazing. Oh my God, you're so beautiful, right? When you're consistently not getting that, how will you really feel? Because sure, you're 28 now, and obviously, your confidence is sky high. You feel good about yourself. You're out and about. You're single. You're dating. But as you grow older, and as you're with the same guy, I'm sure as a woman, it'll feel good to feel like you're still sexy to your man. That's not a crime. And I don't want you to make the mistake of, like, because you're trying so hard to be like, oh, I don't want guys to lust over me, which I understand, that you make the mistake of training a man to never express his desire for you. And then later on in the relationship, you're super frustrated because you're like, well, why don't you ever express your desire for me? When you've trained him to not do that. So to answer your question, I actually think, rather than trying to discourage a man from doing that, if you're looking for someone who is more focused on your mental and your spiritual and things like that, why don't you just observe the type of ways a man will talk to you and compliment you, and the type of things he'll consistently focus his energy on as it relates to you and his relationship with you. And then align yourself with someone who, even if he does compliment your looks, he always has a focus on your mental and complimenting your character and complimenting the way that you are and complimenting your integrity and your loyalty and the way he can trust you and the way you go about life, right? In the process of also complimenting your looks. Because yes, you might not want to be lusted over by random men, but I'm sure as a woman, you want to feel desired by your man, which is not a crime. But I don't want you to take that away from yourself by trying to discourage him from, giving you compliments about your body, right? So, you just have to remember that as well. Okay, chat, that's the show for today. For those of you who have any questions for me, whether it be in the free section, whether it be in the private section, yeah, or whether it be in the paid section, you can ask those all to me through those links in my description. For those of you who are wanting to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is not above my head because it's not on TikTok, is at the bottom in the description there. You can get the link to my Instagram and follow me there. For those of you who want to follow me on, not follow me, for those of you who want to catch me live again, I'm going to be live again on Monday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be the new time for the time being, okay? And I may or may not pop in before that time on a live show. You just got to stay aware. Make sure you're in the Discord, because that's the best way to know when if I'm going to do like a random live show, okay? It is 10:37. All right, 10:37 Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you guys again on Monday. I'm obviously going to be posting as well on the main channel. So until we meet again, I bid you adieu, arrivederci, au revoir, hasta la vista, adios, sayonara, ciao, bounty. I think I said them all. Yeah, I said hasta la vista. Okay, yeah, I said that one. All right, bon voyage, and I'll see you again on Monday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully on time. Yeah. Okay. I love you. Bye.